Miyu arrives in Busan for a trip, and as it turns out, her husband, Yu Cheng, is already there on a business trip. Wanting to be the ultimate romantic wife, she decides to surprise him by flying in a day early. However, when she tries calling him, he doesn't pick up. Undeterred, she heads straight to the Svento Hotel to check his room information. But when the receptionist pulls up the records, she discovers something heart-shattering. Yu Cheng had checked in the night before with a woman named Zenzhen. Just as the receptionist is frozen in awkward silence, unsure of what to do, the hotel manager, Ji Feng, steps in just in time to handle the situation. Ji Feng personally escorts Miyu up to the room, but on the way, he's clearly stalling for time, moving as slowly as possible. By the time they finally knock on the door, Yu Cheng is the only one inside. As luck would have it, it's actually the couple's wedding anniversary, so Yu Cheng plays it off and asks Ji Feng to prepare a bottle of expensive red wine to celebrate. As Ji Feng exits the room, Yu Cheng follows him out to the door and whispers a quick thank you for the heads up and for quickly upgrading him to a luxury suite to wipe away any evidence. Miyu, completely oblivious to the narrow escape, is actually impressed by the manager's attitude, gushing about how talented her husband must be to get that kind of VIP treatment everywhere he goes. Yu Cheng covers his tracks by lying, claiming the hotel is just desperate for a long-term partnership with his travel agency. Later that night, the staff goes down to the cellar to grab the wine, only to realize that the last bottle of Screamin' Eagle has already been bought by a guest named Tino. The system hasn't been updated yet, and Ji Feng is desperate not to disappoint Yu Cheng. Meanwhile, Tino is starting to lose his patience with the hotel's hesitation. Thinking fast, Ji Feng finds another bottle of vintage wine produced in the exact year Tino was born. Between the rare bottle and a sincere apology, he manages to de-escalate the crisis. Ji Feng then personally brings the wine to Yu Cheng's room, even helping them uncork it and pour the glasses. Miyu is so thrilled with the hotel service that she asks her husband to take a commemorative photo. But the moment Yu Cheng pulls out his phone, Zhenzhen, the other woman, suddenly appears out of nowhere. She walks right up to their table and offers to take the photo for them. Miyu, having no clue who she is, thanks her profusely, while Yu Cheng is standing right there, literally breaking out in a cold sweat. Zhenzhen even has the nerve to compliment Miyu on her beauty before casually heading back to another table for dinner. From that moment on, Yu Cheng's mind is completely elsewhere. Later that night, as the couple gets ready for some intimate time in their room, Miyu suddenly feels her hair get snagged on something. She flips on the light and is horrified to find a pair of women's underwear hidden under the pillow. She immediately confronts her husband. Yu Cheng, obviously not daring to admit the truth, shifts the blame onto the housekeeping staff, calling them careless. He tries to brush it off, but Miyu isn't letting it go that easily. The head housekeeper, Natalie, is called to the room, and she firmly insists that she checked the room thoroughly before the guests arrived. Fearing the truth will come out, Yu Cheng calls for manager Ji Feng to settle the dispute. The moment Ji Feng walks in, he reads the room and knows exactly what's happening. He apologizes to the couple and puts on a show, pretending to fire Natalie on the spot. To make it up to them, he offers a free luxury car racing experience package. Yu Cheng jumps at the chance to change the subject, promising to take Miyu out the next day. Meanwhile, poor Natalie is left standing there, so overwhelmed by the injustice that she bursts into tears. The next morning, while drying her hair, Miyu accidentally spots her husband's shirt in the laundry basket. When she picks it up, she finds a clear lipstick stain on the collar. A dark premonition begins to grow in her heart. Later that day, Miyu takes the initiative to find Ji Feng. She promises to help the hotel secure the contract with her husband's company, but in exchange, she wants to see the CCTV footage of the hallway outside their room. However, Ji Feng turns her down, citing hotel policy that forbids guests from extracting camera footage. Miyu realizes she can't force it and lets it go. That same day, Yu Cheng and Ji Feng have a quick, secretive exchange. Yu Cheng promises to try and open a new tour route for their future partnership. Finally, when Miyu returns home, she walks through the door to find her sister and brother-in-law helping her nephew prepare for an interview. As it turns out, Miyu's sister is desperate to get her son into an elite international school, and the school has sent a representative for a home visit. Because the sister's own home doesn't meet the school's prestige standards, she decides to borrow Miyu's address and claims it as her own. Being quick on her feet, Miyu plays along, greeting her sister and brother-in-law as if they were just visiting guests, so she doesn't blow their cover in front of the school official. Meanwhile, back at the Svento Hotel, things are getting intense. Even though Ji Feng was recently named Outstanding Manager, the corporate headquarters has suddenly parachuted in a new executive named Andy. It's clear that a cutthroat power struggle for the general manager seat is about to begin. Ji Feng meets with a board member, Van Tran, arguing that his massive revenue contributions should protect his position. However, the big boss remains non-committal, hinting that Ji Feng might be reassigned to explore the market all the way in South Africa. Back at the house, Miyu tries to hint that her sister should head home, but her sister acts completely oblivious and shows no signs of leaving. Miyu is too polite to kick her out. On top of that, Yu Cheng uses the excuse that he has a critically important work matter the next day and needs absolute silence, so he checks back into a hotel to sleep. In the middle of the night, he texts Miyu, asking her to have his suit ready for him. The next morning, wanting her husband to get a few more minutes of sleep, Miyu decides to personally deliver the suit to his hotel room. But when the door opens, her heart drops. It's Zhen. For a split second, Miyu thinks she's at the wrong room, but Zhen provocatively calls out Yu Cheng's name in a loud, mocking voice. Miyu pushes forward and looks inside, and there he is, her husband, standing there in a bathrobe. Yu Cheng panics and rushes to explain, but Miyu doesn't say a word. She turns and sprints out of the hotel as fast as she can. Miyu bursts into her home just as her sister Miao is packing to leave. Yu Cheng is right on her heels, banging on the door like a madman, but Miyu forbids anyone from letting him in. Her sister, however, makes an excuse that she needs to leave and has her husband secretly unlock the door for the brother-in-law. Yu Cheng drops to his knees, swearing that Zhen lured him into a business meeting and forced him to get drunk. Miyu listens with a cold, dead expression before violently shoving him away. Things escalate when Miyu's father calls. Having heard about the trouble from the older sister, he tries to play peacemaker. In front of his father-in-law, Yu Cheng acts like the perfect, innocent husband. Miyu stays silent and cold, making an excuse to walk away after just a few words. Then, her own mother calls her privately with some soul-crushing advice. Don't overreact. Her mother points out that since Miyu doesn't have a job, the entire family is financially dependent on her husband. She tells Miyu that for a man with social status, a little bit of playing around is just part of life. These words cut Miyu like a knife. Just as she hangs up, Yu Cheng realizes with horror that Zhen had secretly used his phone to text Miyu earlier. He furiously texts Zhen to confront her, only for her to drop a bombshell. She's pregnant. The next day at the office, Yu Cheng's boss, Mr. Ho, is extremely pleased with the results of the business trip. He tells Yu Cheng that while the overseas market isn't closed yet, he needs to stay focused on the Zhengnan project. If he pulls this off, a massive promotion is waiting for him. Suddenly, Yu Cheng's ego is back at 100%. In a different turn of events, Miyu schedules a face-to-face meeting with Zhen at a cafe. Throughout the meeting, Zhen acts like a busy professional, constantly taking calls about debt collections and reporting to her boss. While Miyu can only sit there checking her watch, this side chick purposefully shows off a luxury handbag that is the exact same model as Miyu's, bragging that she earned the money to buy it herself. When Miyu calls her out for being immoral, Zhen mocks her, telling her she needs to get with the times. The two trade barbs, and while Miyu maintains the superior aura of the legal wife, the victory is short-lived. The moment she steps out of the cafe, Miyu is hit with a wave of bitterness. She realized that despite her tough talk, she has no real leverage. With no career and no income, she's essentially a parasite living off Yu Cheng. When she gets home, she finds Yu Cheng fumbling around the kitchen, trying to cook. He's so clumsy that he immediately breaks a bowl. He claims he just wanted her to rest, but since he's a man who never steps foot in a kitchen, he's only making things worse. In the end, Miyu is the one who has to roll up her sleeves and finish cooking the entire meal. At the dinner table, Miyu brings up her recent encounter with Zhen. Yu Cheng, ever the manipulator, starts spinning a web of lies. He insists that he's the victim, claiming that Zhen is the one obsessively stalking him, but in his heart, Miyu is his one and only. He swears their 10-year marriage is irreplaceable. But as she listens to his sweet talk, Miyu can't stop thinking about the theater production at the Suento Hotel. Knowing her husband and the hotel manager teamed up to play her for a fool makes her blood boil with silent rage. Sensing her doubt, Yu Cheng swears he'll never deal with Zhen again. To prove it, he pulls out his phone and deletes Zhen from his WeChat right then and there in front of his wife. However, the very next day, Zhen storms into Yu Cheng's office with a contract in hand, acting like she's ready to end their professional relationship. When Yu Cheng coldly tells her to go see his secretary to sign it, Zhen flips the script. She starts bringing up their intimate history, hinting that she's not afraid to cause a public scene. Terrified of a scandal, Yu Cheng panics and slams the door shut. His cold tone immediately turns into fake concern, asking if she's feeling tired from the pregnancy. Zhen then puts on an Oscar-worthy performance, crying and playing the noble victim. She claims she only ever wanted a warm family and promises she would never use the baby to trap him, going as far as saying she's willing to give up her only chance at motherhood for his sake. This psychological game leaves Yu Cheng completely rattled and trapped in a corner. That evening, Yu Cheng's chronic stomach pain flares up, but he makes a show of pushing through it to handle work calls. Seeing her husband looking so frail and dedicated, Miyu's heart softens once again. She fetches his medicine and even feeds him bowls of millet porridge by hand. Yu Chang leans into the act, begging for forgiveness and swearing on his life that he will never hurt her again. Miyu swallows her bitterness and chooses to forgive him, not because she fully trusts him, but because she feels like she has no other choice. Watching his familiar face as he sleeps that night, she tells herself that 10 years of history isn't something you can just throw away. She naively hopes that once they have a child and his career advances, all these glitches in their marriage will fix themselves. The next morning, Yu Chang gets a high-pressure call from the office about a contract. Miyu stays supportive, making him breakfast before heading out for coffee with some members of the board. Thanks to her love of art and culture, Miyu shares some incredibly sophisticated insights about their collections. A board member named Wei is deeply impressed by her taste and even asks for her future advice as a consultant. But the moment Miyu steps away to the restroom, the masks fall. She overhears the board members gossiping about the juicy scandal between Yu Chang and Zenzhen. Miyu stands in the shadows, hearing every humiliating word. That night, Yu Chang celebrates closing the massive Jiangnam project. However, the client drops a bombshell. The only reason the deal was signed so fast was because Chen Chen put in a good word. It turns out she is the adopted daughter of the group chairman. Meanwhile, at another dinner, Chen Chen is being pressured to drink by clients. Yu Chang suddenly appears like a knight in shining armor, taking the shots for his mistress to protect her. Back at home, Miyu's phone pings with a notification. A massive amount of money has been charged to her bank card. When a drunk Yu Chang finally stumbles home, she confronts him about the money. He brushes it off, lying that he just loaned it to a coworker. Once he's passed out in bed, Miyu brings him some hangover medicine, but sees his phone light up. It's a suggestive, lovey-dovey text from Chen Chen. Furious, Miyu dumps the medicine straight into the trash. She then logs into her email to check the bank statements and discovers the horrifying truth. That loan was actually a direct payment to a private maternity hospital. The following day, Yu Chang takes Chen Chen for a checkup. Miyu follows them in secret and watches from the shadows as her husband tenderly embraces his mistress while they walk down the hospital steps. The irony is like a knife to her heart. She remembers how, just a few days ago, she was preparing for a minor surgery to help her conceive, and Yu Chang didn't care at all. Yet here he is, being the most attentive partner in the world for Zhenzhen. Walking away from the hospital, Miyu's entire world collapses. She had so many dreams for their future, but she realized she was the only one fighting for a marriage that was already dead. Deep down, Miyu realizes a painful truth. Even if it wasn't Zhenzhen, Yu Chang would have found someone else to cheat with. He is a serial betrayer. She immediately meets with a lawyer to discuss the division of assets. She learns that she has a legal right to reclaim a significant portion of the secret investments her husband has been making behind her back. Later, she visits Yu Chang's VIP suite at the hotel. Just imagining how many times her husband and his mistress had been together in that very room hardens her heart. She's more certain about the divorce than ever. Right then, Yu Chang has the audacity to text her, insisting she attend his big project celebration party that night. Miyu just finds the whole thing hilariously ironic and pathetic. That evening, Miyu shows up to the party looking absolutely stunning. Yu Chang is beaming, feeling like the ultimate power husband with such a beautiful wife on his arm. But the smile is wiped off his face when Miyu leans in and asks him point blank if the loan he took out was enough for his needs. He starts breaking out in a cold sweat. Then she goes nuclear. She pulls out the maternity clinic receipts for everyone to see. At that exact moment, Zhenzhen walks into the room. The tension is suffocating. Zhenzhen tries to play it off like she walked into the wrong room and turns to flee, but Miyu blocks her path. She sarcastically applauds Zhenzhen for being young and talented, before pivots and rips her to shreds for having absolutely no self-respect. She exposes Zhenzhen's identity right then and there. Yu Chang loses his mind and starts screaming at his wife, but Miyu doesn't care anymore. For years, she had endured everything for the sake of his reputation, even giving up her career to be a full-time housewife. But now that he has trampled on her dignity, she's done. She decides it's better for them to go their separate ways. Miyu walks out with her head held high. Yu Chang chases her down, accusing her of not thinking about the big picture and threatening that she'll never have a comfortable life again once she leaves him. She ignores his threats, leaving him with nothing but a bitter, cold smile. As she walks away, she's so emotionally drained that she loses track of her surroundings. She stands dazed in the middle of a busy intersection, ignoring the traffic lights. Just as the world starts spinning, a motorcycle pulls up beside her. It's her best friend, Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan takes Miyu out for a meal to catch up on everything she's missed over the years. Xiaoyan reveals she's now a chef at a hotel, living a fiercely independent life as a single woman in her own apartment. She starts to talk about her lifestyle, but quickly changes the subject, worried that her pro-independence talk might upset Miyu, who is currently grieving her marriage. When Yu Chang finally gets home, he's greeted by a set of divorce papers sitting on the table. Miyu calmly tells him that her mind is made up. All that's left is for him to sign. Yu Chang snatches the papers and leaves, muttering that he'll think about it at the office. But at work, things go from bad to worse. His boss, Wei, has seen the viral video of Miyu causing a scene at the party. Wei berates Yu Chang for being so reckless with his personal life. That vice president promotion he wanted, it's basically dead in the water now because the corporate headquarters won't approve someone with such a scandalous public image. Yu Chang is speechless and powerless. Finally, Wei tells him he'll try to smooth things over, but only if Yu Chang cleans up his mess at home immediately. That night, Yu Chang returns home and tries his old apology routine one more time, but Miyu sees right through him. She's already heard that his promotion was suspended, so she doesn't hold back. She lays all her cards on the table. After a long night of realizing Miyu isn't backing down, Yu Chang finally sits down to negotiate the assets. He tries to play the broke husband card, claiming the house was bought by his parents before the marriage, telling her she can have the car, and lying that he has no savings since she manages his salary card. But Miyu has one last move. She pulls out an insurance policy, pointing out that upon maturity, she is entitled to $4 million. Yu Chang is absolutely shell-shocked. He had no idea his wife had prepared such a solid backup plan. With no other choice, he signs the papers. But even in defeat, he leaves her with a parting insult, telling her he can't wait to see if she can actually survive or accomplish anything without him. Meanwhile, over at the Svento Hotel, the major contract with the Landy Corporation has hit a massive snag. Andy reports to the board that a rival group somehow snatched the deal away just one day before they were set to sign. But Jifeng isn't buying it. He suspects the rival group is just all bark and no bite, and he immediately launches his own investigation to find the truth. Showing his trademark grit and decisiveness, Jifeng single-handedly flips the script. He manages to win the contract back and literally throws the signed documents onto the table right in front of Andy. Even after being exposed, Andy has the nerve to shamelessly claim that securing the deal was a team effort. Jifeng doesn't even bother arguing with a person like that. He coldly announces his resignation on the spot. Back to Miyu, she's finished packing her bags. While waiting to leave, she uses the home computer one last time to fire off a few CVs for job openings. After taking one last lingering look at the home she spent 10 years building, she decisively grabs her suitcase and heads to a hotel to check in. Out of habit, the receptionist tries to put her in Yu Chang's usual VIP suite, but Miyu shuts that down immediately, requesting a standard guest room instead. Once she's settled in, she orders a massive, expensive seafood feast. For years, she had been strictly dieting and watching what she ate just to prepare her body for pregnancy, all for a man who didn't deserve it. Now, the gloves are off. She indulges in lobster and abalone until she's completely stuffed. The next morning, she sleeps in until 11 a.m. Miyu gets all dressed up, putting on her best makeup for a job interview, but she's immediately hit with bad news. The position has already been filled. To make matters worse, her lawyer calls with a bombshell. That $4 million insurance policy Yu Chang signed over, it turns out it's underwater and losing money. This means that instead of receiving a fortune, she's actually inherited a massive debt. Yu Chang generously offers to pay off the debt himself, but Miyu isn't stupid. She knows her ex-husband's calculating mind and investment savvy. There is no way he accidentally bought a losing policy. It's a trap designed to leave her penniless. She vows right then and there to find the evidence and sue him for everything. As she settles her bill and walks out of the hotel, Miyu accidentally bumps into Jifeng. Jifeng is actually there to check into the hotel himself, but he's acting like an undercover critic, carefully observing every move the receptionists make. At first, the staff tells him he has to wait until after 12 p.m. to get a room. But the moment Jifeng flashes his powerful black card, the staff starts scrambling. Realizing he's a high-profile VIP looking for a long-term stay, they immediately take him on a tour of the facilities. As he walks through the halls with the staff, Jifeng gets a strange sense of déjà vu. He feels like he's looking at himself 10 years ago when he first started in the industry. He sees his younger self in every corner of the building. However, while walking through the corridor, he scowls. The smell of disinfectant is way too strong, and it's bothering him. After the tour ends and the head of housekeeping comes out to personally greet him, Jifeng's curiosity is piqued. He looks at the manager and drops a sharp, testing question. What exactly is your hotel's professional strategy for retaining loyal customers? The question leaves the staff and the manager completely frozen and speechless. They've never dealt with a guest this difficult before. Realizing this long-term VIP is going to be a handful, they grab their radios and put every department on high alert. As for Miyu, after failing her first interview, she's forced to lower her salary expectations and start over with her CVs. She finds a tiny, cramped apartment for rent and bites the bullet, negotiating with the landlord to prepay 6 months of rent just to get a $500 monthly discount. After paying the rent, she's down to her last $1,000. Just when she's feeling the walls close in, a hotel calls her for an interview. Miyu rushes over, confidently presenting her background. She has a bachelor's degree in hotel management. Even though she's been a housewife for 10 years, she tells them she's kept her industry knowledge sharp and has stayed in countless luxury hotels as a guest, giving her a unique insider perspective on what high-end clients really want. Despite her degree, the recruiters Miyu meets are only interested in boots-on-the-ground experience. They basically force her into a high-pressure sales position. Standing on the edge of financial ruin, Miyu has no other choice but to bite the bullet and take the job. Her very first client meeting is at a karaoke bar, a major red flag. The client keeps forcing her to drink until she literally can't swallow another drop. When she accidentally pushes him away, the creep tries to get handsy with her. Luckily, her best friend Xiaoyan happens to be passing by and jumps in to save the day. After questioning her, Xiaoyan is shocked to learn that Miyu is divorced and struggling to find any work at all. Remembering that her own hotel is currently hiring, Xiaoyan immediately offers to pull some strings and recommend Miyu for a position. Meanwhile, karma is finally coming for Zhenjian. Just as she's leaving work, she gets a call from the big boss. The video of Miyu's explosive confrontation at the party has gone viral, and the scandal has completely trashed the company's professional image. Zhenjian is fired on the spot. Fuming, she complains to Yu Cheng that in all her years of working, she's never been fired until she got involved with him. Yu Cheng suggests she just stay home, but Zhenjian draws a hard line. She refuses to ever be a pathetic full-time housewife like Miyu. To keep her happy, Yu Cheng promises to use his connections to find her a new job. Back at the hotel, Miyu goes in for an interview. The manager is actually very impressed by her deep understanding of hotel operations, but her lack of recent work experience is a major hurdle. The manager gives her some honest advice. Start at an entry-level position. The hotel has a policy of promoting from within, meaning if she excels at the basics, she can work her way back up to management. When Miyu returns to her rented apartment, she gets hit with a devastating blow. A neighbor informs her that the man she paid rent to wasn't the landlord. He was just a tenant who owed 2 months of back rent and has now vanished. Miyu realizes she's been scammed out of all her savings. She calls the police in a panic, but then the bank calls, hounding her to pay off her credit card debt. In a moment of desperation, she calls her parents. She tells her father he needs to start paying back the loan he took out for his homestay business. Her mother drops another bombshell. The homestay hasn't made a cent in years, and Yu Cheng has been the one secretly paying off the debts all this time. Her mother, still thinking they're just having a marital spat, begs her to make up with him. Miyu can't bring herself to admit they're divorced and hangs up, feeling more alone than ever. With no money and no place to stay, Miyu remembers the manager's words. Entry-level jobs come with free room and board. She calls the hotel and accepts the job immediately. Miyu is placed under the supervision of the housekeeping team lead, Anna, who assigns a coworker named Yin Shang to show her the ropes of cleaning. Soon, the department head, Mr. Zhang, radios in with a problem. A guest is complaining that his room is dirty and is demanding a room change. Miyu is tasked with cleaning the new room from scratch. Another staff member whispers to Yin Shang that this guest is notoriously difficult to please, but he's also incredibly handsome. That guest? It's Ji Feng. After a grueling first day of manual labor, Miyu is exhausted. When she gets back to the staff dorms, she tries to sleep, but a roommate starts singing loudly, keeping her awake. 2 other roommates notice Miyu's high-end designer suitcase and start gossiping. They suddenly realize that Miyu is the rich socialite they saw living the high life in the VIP suite just a few days ago. The next morning, Yin Xiang makes a mistake and delivers food to the wrong guest. Seeing that Miyu is more mature and composed, the supervisor tells her to go and personally apologize to the guest. To her absolute shock, the guest is Ji Feng. Ji Feng is equally stunned to see the elegant woman he met before now standing there in a maid's uniform. A few days later, the supervisor announces that a nightmare guest is being especially difficult and no one wants to go near his room. Miyu steps up and takes the assignment to clean Ji Feng's suite with extreme care. Ji Feng watches her, completely baffled as to why a woman of her caliber is now working as a janitor at the very hotel where she was once a VIP. Miyu doesn't hold back when she sees Ji Feng. She looks him right in the eye and sarcastically tells him that she's only in this miserable position thanks to his help back at the other hotel. Ji Feng offers a brief apology, but seeing her defiant attitude, he switches back into guest mode. He coldly reminds her that since she's on the clock, she should focus on serving her guests properly instead of arguing. He walks off to take a call, leaving Miyu fuming and alone with her anger. After she finishes cleaning the room, the head housekeeper checks in on her. Every other maid has been torn apart by Jifeng's high standards, so the supervisor is shocked that Miyu survived the encounter. She warns Miyu that Jifeng is a top-tier VIP with a microscope for mistakes, so any special requests from him need to be reported to the whole team immediately to avoid getting flagged twice for the same error. The workload doesn't stop there. Another difficult guest, a famous writer, demands a room cleaning. Rumor has it he's a total nightmare. When Miyu enters, she finds his manuscripts scattered all over the floor. Instead of just vacuuming around them, she carefully picks them up and organizes them neatly. Later, while the other maids are gossiping about how rude the writer is, Miyu is called back to his room. He actually wants her opinion on a plot point he just wrote. Miyu gives him a few genuine compliments, leaving the writer beaming with pride. He tells her she doesn't even need to finish cleaning. But the good vibes don't last. The next morning, the writer gets a call saying his book contract has been canceled. Looking for someone to lash out at, he leaves a scathing 1-star review for the service staff. Even though Miyu did everything right, her supervisor tells her she has to take the blame. Why? Because 2 other employees are already on the verge of being fired, and the hotel needs a scapegoat to protect the team. Miyu is forced to swallow the injustice. Meanwhile, Yu Cheng and his mistress-turned-wife Zhenzhen are hosting a birthday banquet for their parents at the same hotel. The general manager, Si Yuan, even stops by to toast them. Yu Cheng pulls Si Yuan aside to pull some strings, asking him to look after Zhenzhen, who is about to start a job in the hotel's sales department. When Jifeng walks past the banquet hall, Yu Cheng spots him and enthusiastically drags him in for a drink, introducing him to the whole family. That's when Jifeng realizes that Zhenzhen has officially usurped Miyu's place as the wife. Because the restaurant is short-staffed that day, Miyu is sent over to help. Her heart stops when she walks into the VIP room and sees her ex-husband's entire family. Zhenzhen seizes the opportunity to humiliate her. She intentionally makes a mess, forcing Miyu to pick things up and demanding that she bow and apologize. The restaurant manager, not knowing their history, joins in and starts screaming at Miyu to show some respect. Fed up with the awkwardness, Yu Cheng asks for a different server. When Miyu walks out, he follows her. Acting like he's above her, he offers her a pity job through his connections, claiming she doesn't have to live this way. Miyu shuts him down instantly, telling him she's perfectly capable of supporting herself. Right then, Zhenzhen storms out and starts a scene, screaming that Miyu is a homewrecker trying to seduce her husband. Jifeng, watching from the sidelines, finally sees the full, twisted picture. Feeling a bit guilty for his part in her downfall, he steps in and ushers the couple back into the room to handle their guests. Back in her hometown, Miyu's father calls again, pestering her to get Yu Cheng to send more tourists to their failing homestay. Miyu snaps and hangs up, telling him to figure it out himself. Her mother is now convinced that the couple is just having a massive fight and plans to visit Shanghai to fix things. As if life wasn't hard enough, the hotel grapevine starts buzzing. The staff are all whispering about how Miyu went from being a VIP socialite who spent money like water to a bottom-dweller janitor who got kicked out of her own house. Her pride is being trampled daily. Just as she's about to pack her bags and quit, she runs into Jifeng while he's out for a night jog. Instead of a motivational speech, he gives her a piece of tough love advice. He tells her that sometimes the best move is to recognize when you've lost and cut your losses by quitting while you're behind. As it turns out, Jifeng's tough love was actually a clever psychological play. By saying the hotel industry isn't for everyone, he poked at Miyu's competitive streak. Refusing to let him be right, she decides to dig her heels in and stay at the hotel. Meanwhile, back in her world, her mother, Mrs. Shu, hitches a ride with a neighbor all the way to Shanghai to check on her daughter. But the moment she steps into the house, she's hit with a bombshell. The lady of the house has already been replaced. Zhenzhen smugly flashes her new marriage certificate, bluntly announcing that Miyu and Yu Cheng are officially divorced. When Mr. Shu finds out, he immediately goes into full drama mode. He throws a tantrum and declares he's not leaving the house until he finds his daughter. Having no other choice, Zhenzhen is forced to drive the 2 elderly parents to the hotel. They start knocking on doors and searching everywhere until they finally spot Miyu in her staff uniform, hunched over and arranging flowers. Mrs. Shu's heart breaks for her daughter. Assuming Miyu is being bullied into this life, she tries to drag Miyu back to her old house to reclaim her territory. As a crowd of gossiping staff members begins to gather to watch the free show, Miyu panics and pulls her parents into a nearby room. As luck would have it, it's Jifeng's private suite. Ever the gentleman, Jifeng steps in and gives the parents 2 free meal vouchers, subtly getting them away from the public eye before the family becomes even more of a laughingstock. Over dinner, when her mother asks for the real reason behind the divorce, Miyu is brutally honest. She tells her that it wasn't just about Zhenzhen's pregnancy. The truth is, the love between her and Yu Cheng simply died. She's done with the drama. Mr. Shu, however, couldn't care less about her feelings. He's only interested in the divorce settlement. He argues that if they couldn't get the house or the car, they at least need to bring home a massive stack of cash. Miyu is forced to tell them the ugly truth. Yu Cheng has no money left, and the only thing she walked away with was an insurance policy that's currently $2 million in the red. Hearing this, her parents are absolutely livid. Miyu tries to send them to a nearby mall so she can get back to work, but Mr. Shu has other plans. He marches straight to Yu Cheng's company to settle the score. Knowing he's in the wrong and can't hide forever, Yu Cheng invites his ex-father-in-law into his office. The second he sits down, Mr. Shu starts demanding money. He tells Yu Cheng he owes $2.10 million as compensation for wasting Miyu's youth. Yu Cheng claims he has zero savings and points out that he didn't even force Miyu to pay off the $2 million debt. He tries to get rid of Mr. Shu by handing him a $20,000 bonus he just received, but Mr. Shu isn't having it. He threatens to cause a massive scene in the company lobby. Fearing for his reputation, Yu Cheng quickly changes his tune and promises to divert several large tour groups to the Shu family's homestay. Having squeezed out a profit, Mr. Shu happily heads back to the hotel to brag to his wife. Meanwhile, Zenzhen has just finished her first day of onboarding at the hotel. As she walks through the lobby, Mrs. Shu spots her, and the rage goes straight to her head. She lunges at Zenzhen, screaming insults. But Zenzhen is the legal wife now, and she isn't afraid of a couple of old people making a scene. The lobby turns into total chaos as a receptionist pulls out a phone to live stream the fight. Miyu, who happened to see the live stream from her office, rushes out to stop the madness. But her appearance only makes Zenzhen go harder. She publicly humiliates Miyu, screaming that she's a pathetic loser who sent her parents to beg Yu Cheng for his bonus money. As the crowd starts mocking the Shu family for being gold diggers, Miyu is forced to swallow her pride and drag her parents away from the scene. Once they're outside, Mr. Shu doesn't stop. He starts berating Miyu, calling her unfilial and accusing her of not paying back the debt of raising her. Miyu finally snaps. She bitterly reminds him that the only reason she took out those loans in her own name was so the family could have a better life with their homestay. She tells him flatly, "From now on, you pay your own debts." Even her mother joins in the blame, accusing Miyu of being too impulsive and ruining her own life by divorcing without thinking about the family's finances. Feeling completely broken, Miyu goes to the rooftop to clear her head. Jifeng soon finds her and stands by her side. He starts teasing her about her name, but the mood turns serious as she explains the truth. Her name was actually changed by her stepfather to match her sister's name. Standing on the rooftop, Miyu opens up to Jifeng about her past. She reveals that she and her mother spent their entire lives walking on eggshells, always having to cater to her stepfather's every whim. Jifeng listens and gives her some solid advice. Everyone should live their own life, not spend it leaning on others. These words spark a fire in Miyu, giving her the encouragement she desperately needed. She remembers her supervisor mentioning that Jifeng holds the hotel's highest-tier VIP membership. If she can earn a glowing review from him, it would be a massive gold star for her career. Seeing that Jifeng isn't actually as scary as he looks, Miyu decides to take the initiative and personally handle his room cleaning. The next day, Miyu's entire vibe has shifted. She's all smiles while she cleans, even going the extra mile to brew him a perfect cup of coffee. Jifeng initially tells her she can leave once her work is done, but Miyu lingers, politely asking for a positive performance rating. Jifeng doesn't make it easy. He tells her that her service still hasn't met his gold standard, specifically pointing out that her timing was off. Miyu argues that time isn't the only metric. The ultimate goal is customer satisfaction. Jifeng counters with a pro tip. The highest standard of service is knowing when not to disturb the guest at all. Later that night, while Miyu is walking alone, Yu Cheng shows up with a bag of her old clothes. Miyu coldly tells him that anything she didn't take with her was meant for the trash. When Yu Cheng tries to force the bag on her, she takes it and immediately tosses it into a nearby dumpster, right in front of him. She tells him to stop the nice guy act, vowing that she will sue him to get back every penny he owes her. Yu Cheng loses his temper, shouting that if she loved money so much, she should have never divorced him. Miyu sees that he hasn't changed at all and walks away without another word. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Zhen is trying to prove her worth. She brings in a high-profile Malaysian client named Mr. Louis. The moment Mr. Louis sees Miyu, he's captivated by her beauty and demands that she be his personal server. Once they're in the room, he tries to get her WeChat. Miyu tries to decline, citing hotel policy against fraternizing with guests, but Mr. Louis threatens to move to a different hotel. To save the account, Miyu is forced to agree. At the same time, the hotel is buzzing with news. Ao Xiang, the son of the group chairman, is arriving. The management orders the entire floor to be cleared out for the VIP. While Jifeng is minding his own business, drinking tea in the lobby, the staff keeps shoving him from one spot to another to make room for the big arrival. The vice president, Shui Wei, steps in to handle the situation and is shocked to find Jifeng there. It turns out Shay Roy was the mentor who trained Jifeng when he was just an intern 10 years ago. Shay Roy knows Jifeng has been working overseas and wants to catch up in his office, but the staff interrupts to say the guest of honor has arrived. They agree to meet later. The staff begins demanding that all remaining guests vacate the area, but Jifeng refuses to budge. When the manager reports to Aosheng that one stubborn guest won't leave no matter how much compensation is offered, Aosheng decides to handle it himself. But when his bodyguards knock on the door, Aosheng hears a familiar voice. It turns out Jifeng and the chairman's son are best friends from their days studying abroad. Aosheng is thrilled to see his old buddy and invites Jifeng to a massive celebration gala the group is hosting. During the setup, the head of service sends Miyu to the VIP area to help out. There, Aosheng introduces Jifeng to the general manager, Si Yuan, even joking that once he buys the hotel, he's going to make Jifeng the new GM. Si Yuan, who has known about Jifeng's reputation for a long time, starts sweating. Terrified that his job is on the line, he immediately orders someone to dig into why Jifeng really returned to the country. During a tasting for the new menu, Jifeng is unimpressed with the caviar dish. The manager immediately calls for the kitchen to fix it. Xiaoyan, Miyu's best friend and chef, is already stressed out preparing a special alcohol-infused set menu at the grill. Aosheng is fascinated by her unique cooking style and walks over to watch. Xiaoyan, annoyed by the forced overtime, keeps spraying alcohol onto the flames to create massive clouds of smoke. But just as she's about to finish her shift, her eyes widen. She spots her best friend, Miyu, working right there, not as a guest, but as a lowly server. At the high-stakes gala, a female guest accidentally spills a glass of red wine all over Jifeng. Instead of taking responsibility, she pulls a total Karen move and points the finger at Miyu, claiming Miyu pushed her. Miyu stays completely composed and calmly recounts exactly how the guest had been stumbling around looking for drinks. Seeing her best friend being bullied, Xiaoyan has zero chills. She walks right up and splashes a full glass of wine back into the woman's face. Aosheng, seeing the commotion around Jifeng, steps in and asks the woman who exactly invited her. It turns out she was a total party crasher with no invitation at all. Red-faced with shame, she's forced to slink out of the hotel. Aosheng offers to have the hotel laundry handle Jifeng's stained suit, but Jifeng is worried they might ruin the expensive fabric. Miyu speaks up, mentioning she knows a high-end dry cleaner nearby, and offers to take it there herself. On her way out, she runs into Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan is furious. She demands to know why Miyu started working at the hotel without saying a single word to her. Miyu explains that since she has zero recent work experience, she's just starting from the bottom to build her resume. That night, after her shift, Xiaoyan stormed into the HR office to confront Shui Ri about why Miyu was stuck with grunt work. Shui Ri, unaware of their friendship, explains that Miyu's resume was nothing special. He was actually just trying to be the nice guy by giving her a job at all. The next day, Miyu returns with Jifeng's suit. While entering the hotel, she spots an elderly man named Tan struggling and helps him call a ride on his phone. When she delivers the suit to Jifeng, she asks him one more time for a good performance review. Jifeng, still being the tough critic, tells her she lacks professional polish and tries to brush her off. Suddenly, the creepy Mr. Liu appears behind her. He tells Miyu that he'd give her a great review, but Miyu ignores him. Later, Mr. Liu brings a proposal to Jifeng. Jifeng is interested, and Angela sees this and gets jealous. Later that night, Angela talks to Jifeng. Jifeng still isn't sure what to do with the proposal, but Angela insists that it could benefit the company. The next morning, Jifeng calls Miyu and gives her a 4-hour leg play. Jifeng wants her to turn all the windows off so that she can feel like it's nighttime and better organize. Miyu spends the entire day focused and notices a discrepancy in Jifeng's resume. When Jifeng sees this, he confronts Angela, and Angela blames everything on Jifeng's errors. Later, Jifeng calls Miyu and tells her he made a mistake. Miyu thinks he said he made a mistake with her, but in reality, he meant to say he made a mistake with Angela. Louis starts sending her suggestive, inappropriate texts. Miyu begs her supervisor to reassign her to a different guest, but the supervisor shuts her down, saying staff don't get to pick and choose who they serve. Miyu then spots the elderly man she helped earlier, Mr. Tan, checking into a room. He looks terrible, like he's suffering from a serious illness. When she gets back to the office, she mentions it to her coworker, Yinxiang. Yinxiang warns her that Tan is a regular, but he's incredibly eccentric and moody. It's best to just stay away. At the end of her shift, Miyu passes by Tan's room and notices the food delivery hanging on his door is ice cold. Sensing something is wrong, she lets herself in and finds Mr. Tan lying unconscious on the bathroom floor. Miyu panics and calls the front desk. They tell her to perform emergency first aid, but she has no idea what to do. She runs next door and bangs on Jifeng's door for help. Jifeng rushes in and performs CPR, finally getting Tan to breathe again. The supervisor arrives with an oxygen tank, but the ambulance is still far away. Just as they help Tan to the lobby, the general manager happens to pass by and uses his private car to rush Tan to the hospital. Because Yinxiang was technically the one assigned to Tan's room, Miyu tells her to make sure the room is cleaned up properly. Thanks to Miyu's quick thinking, Tan gets to the hospital just in time and survives. Miyu tells Jifeng to head back to the hotel while she stays to watch over the old man. Jifeng, seeing how hard she's worked, buys her some bread before heading out. The next morning, Tan wakes up and immediately demands to be discharged. Miyu stands her ground, telling him the doctor won't allow it. A bit later, an elderly woman arrives, claiming to be Tan's friend, and hands Miyu a credit card to settle the hospital bills. After making sure everything is handled, Miyu heads back to work. During the morning staff meeting, the supervisor publicly praises the team for saving Mr. Tan's life. But because it was Yinxiang's official shift, she gets 100% of the credit. Yinxiang stays silent, and Miyu doesn't expose the truth in front of everyone. A few days later, the two of them run into each other in the hallway. Yinxiang looks incredibly guilty. She explains that if the management found out she had been slacking during her shift, she would have lost her entire month's salary. Being a worker herself, Miyu understands the struggle and chooses not to hold a grudge. When she goes to clean Jifeng's room, he's visibly intrigued by her. He's been watching from the sidelines and can't wrap his head around her. Why would she accept a bad review she didn't deserve? And why is she so willing to let someone else steal the credit for saving a life? Jifeng begins to suspect that Miyu is just a chronic people pleaser, always putting others first. But Miyu sets him straight. She isn't just being nice. She understands the brutal reality of the working class better than anyone. Jifeng then gives her a strange, secretive mission. He asks her to go to a random guest room and the warehouse to fetch him a single bottle of shampoo from each. Miyu is extra careful, but the moment she steps out of a guest room, she runs right into the sharp-eyed supervisor, Anna. Anna immediately checks the room and notices a bottle is missing. Miyu manages to slip away and hands both bottles to Jifeng. Jifeng tells her to keep this strictly between them, while Miyu insists that this little experiment shouldn't interfere with the hotel's actual operations. Later, a panicked Anna makes a secret phone call to a mysterious man, terrified that her schemes are about to be exposed. The man coldly tells her to handle it herself. Thinking about the bribe money she's already taken, money she plans to use for a luxury family vacation to the Maldives, Anna vows to find a reason to fire Miyu within the next few days. Little does she know, Yinxiang was eavesdropping nearby and heard the whole sinister plan. A few days later, Mr. Tan is discharged and returns to the hotel. When Miyu goes to clean his room, Tan is pleasantly surprised to find that safety handrails and emergency call buttons have been installed specifically for him. His friend is incredibly impressed with the service and personally thanks Miyu for saving Tan's life earlier. As Jifeng heads to his room, he finds a mysterious note slid under his door. 5 a.m., Monday, kitchen back door. He shows up at the exact time and catches two men in the middle of a shady underground supply deal. As he's snapping photos for evidence, he feels someone lurking behind him. It's Shui Rui. Over a meal together, Shui Rui asks Jifeng point blank if he's actually planning to save this sinking ship of a hotel. Jifeng confirms he is. Shui Rui drops a truth bomb. The hotel is being eaten alive from the inside. From top to bottom, every department is riddled with corruption, with employees looking for kickbacks and envelope money. As the CFO, Shui Rui sees the rot better than anyone. Jifeng explains he has two reasons for coming back. First, his career abroad hit a glass ceiling. No matter how good he was always just working for the man. But the real reason is Chairman Wan Jun. The woman he owes everything to personally invited him back, hoping he could restore the hotel to its golden age. Zui Ri is skeptical, calling it a mission impossible. He reveals that in a year, the hotel will be sold off anyway, so why bother? Zui Ri plans to jump ship himself and tells Zui Feng to rethink his loyalty. Back on the floor, the creep Mr. Liu is having tea. Because she's busy, Miyu asks a colleague to serve him instead. This sends Mr. Liu into a fit of rage. Zhenzhen, the manager who hates Miyu, tracks her down to scream at her for insulting a guest. Miyu tries to explain that the guy is a predator who has been crossing the line and acting inappropriately, so refusing to serve him was a matter of safety. Zhenzhen demands proof, but Miyu realizes that if she lets Zhenzhen turn this into a public scene, she'll be the one who ends up humiliated. She decides not to show the messages on her phone. But Mr. Liu isn't taking no for an answer. He demands that only Miyu serve him. Fearing for her safety, Miyu asks Yinxiang to come with her to his room to clear the dishes. The second they walk in, Mr. Liu slams the door and locks it. He pins Miyu against the wall, clearly intending to assault her. Right on cue, Yinxiang returns with the maintenance crew, banging on the door and claiming there's a plumbing emergency. An angry Mr. Liu shouts back that he didn't report a leak, and the staff are too scared to force their way in. Luckily, Jifeng happens to be passing by and hears the struggle. He uses his master key to fly the door open, pretending he just walked into the wrong room by mistake. This gives Miyu the split second she needs to bolt out of the room. Infuriated by the interruption, Mr. Liu pulls all his investments from the hotel. The department head is livid and takes it out on Anna. Seizing the opportunity to finally get rid of Miyu, Anna frames her for the lock investment and slaps her with another 1-star performance review. Miyu argues that she did nothing wrong, but Anna forces her to write a formal self-reflection letter. To make it even more disgusting, Anna victim blames her, saying a guest wouldn't act like that if you hadn't given him the green light first. Word gets back to Jifeng about the unfair treatment Miyu is receiving. He doesn't let it slide. He goes straight to the head of the housekeeping department. Within minutes, the department head calls Anna and demands she retract that bad review immediately. Seeing this, Anna pulls a total 180. Suddenly, she's acting like Miyu's best friend, convinced that Miyu has a powerful guardian angel in Jifeng. Miyu is deeply grateful. Later, while passing by Jifeng's room, she hears him calling for someone to clear away a fruit plate. She steps in to help and takes the opportunity to thank him for handling the Mr. Louis situation. Jifeng, however, stays brutally honest. He tells her that with her people-pleasing personality, she's always going to end up as the loser in the service industry. Miyu admits she's learned her lesson. From now on, she's done with playing nice or adding guests on WeChat. Meanwhile, the Jifeng and Miyu rumor mill is spinning at the speed of light. Back at the dorms, her roommates corner her, desperate to know her secret for seducing a high-level VIP. Miyu just finds it hilarious. He helped her out once, and suddenly everyone thinks she's in some secret billionaire romance drama. A few days later, it's Jifeng's birthday. The hotel has planned a celebration, and everyone is flocking to kiss him. Jifeng hates the attention and tells Anna to cancel the festivities, but she ignores him and tells the kitchen to serve the food anyway. Why? Because even for free guest perks, she still collects a commission. Suddenly, Jifeng gets a high-stress call from Andy at the Svento Hotel. There's a massive problem with the Landy contract Jifeng managed in the past. Andy warns him that if this isn't fixed, Jifeng could be blacklisted from high-level management worldwide. Just as he's scrambling to handle the crisis, Ao Shang shows up with a group of friends to throw him a surprise party. Too busy to deal with them, Jifeng asks Miyu to take over as their host. Jifeng retreats to his room to find the contract. He finds a backup copy and spreads the pages out on the floor to photograph them for evidence. Right then, Ao Shang bursts into the room singing Happy Birthday. Miyu is right behind him, carrying a cake with lit candles. In the chaos, she trips. The cake goes flying, and the candles land right on the contract papers. Within seconds, the documents are nothing but ashes. Jifeng explodes in a fit of rage and kicks everyone out of the room. Once Ao Shang leaves, Jifeng takes all his frustration out on Miyu. But Miyu has had enough. She bites back, calling him a true hypocrite for helping Yu Cheng gaslight her at the Svento Hotel. The two have a massive blowout fight, and Jifeng is so livid he files an official complaint against her. However, later that night, Jifeng realizes he got lucky. Just seconds before the cake explosion, he had managed to snap 2 photos of the contract. He checks his phone, and fortunately, all the crucial info is there. He sends them to Andy immediately, successfully putting out the fire at Svento. As for Miyu, the complaint and her previous bad reviews have wiped out her entire monthly bonus. Her paycheck comes out to less than 3,000 TE, about $400. As she's walking alone, depressed, the police call her. They caught the rent scammer, but the money is already gone. Just as she hangs up, she's cornered by 2 loan sharks demanding her old debts. Miyu begs for a few more days, explaining her bonus was docked, but the men want to listen. They try to drag her off to work in a place where she can earn money fast to pay them back. Luckily, Jifeng is out for his nightly jog and happens to see the struggle. In a moment of unexpected chivalry, he steps in and pays off her entire debt on the spot. The next day, Miyu goes into Jifeng's room to clean and finds the vase she broke the day before has been neatly put back on the table. Noticing a button has popped off Jifeng's sleeve, she sits down and sews it back on for him. She leaves him a heartfelt IOU note, thanking him for saving her life and promising to pay him back every cent as soon as she gets her next paycheck. Later, while grabbing a meal, Yinxiang asks Miyu if she's done something to personally offend Anna. It turns out Yinxiang overheard Anna on the phone again, and she's still actively plotting a way to get Miyu fired for good. As Yinxiang explains the timeline of Anna's plotting, it suddenly clicks for Miyu. Anna started trying to get her fired the exact same day she helped Jifeng steal those shampoo samples. Meanwhile, Jifeng gets the lab results back from the testing center. It's exactly what he suspected. The hotel's shampoo has been swapped for cheap, unregulated, low-quality junk. Miyu is ready to go nuclear. She tells Jifeng she's going straight to the general manager to blow the whistle. But Jifeng stops her. He explains that this isn't just one person. It's a whole supply chain of corruption involving multiple departments. If she goes in alone, she'll just be poking the hornet's nest without actually fixing anything. Miyu tries to be patient, but Anna strikes first. She calls Miyu into her office and demands that she sign her resignation papers immediately. Realizing she has nothing left to lose, Miyu decides to go over Anna's head and reports the whole mess directly to the big boss, Siyuan. To her shock, it doesn't work. She gets fired anyway. But Miyu isn't a pushover anymore. She refuses to pack her bags, stating firmly that until her formal appeal is processed and the investigation is closed, she isn't going anywhere. What Miyu doesn't know is that Jifeng has already escalated the situation to the highest level. He filed a formal complaint about the quality control breach directly to the group chairman. Within minutes, Siyuan gets a phone call from the top and gets absolutely shredded for firing an employee over an unjust accusation. Siyuan turns around and screams at the department head for being an idiot. He realizes Miyu must have some serious backup to get the chairman involved, and he orders his team to find out exactly who is protecting this lowly maid. Oblivious to Jifeng's move, Miyu is back at the dorms, sadly packing her things. Even Yinsheng comes over to check on her, feeling terrible about the news. Suddenly, everyone's phones start blowing up. There's an emergency department meeting. To save their own skins, the higher-ups decide to use Anna as a scapegoat. They fire Anna on the spot for the shampoo scandal, and in a move that shocks everyone, they promote Miyu to the new team lead. Miyu stands there, completely stunned. She can't believe how fast the tables have turned. On the corporate side, Siyuan hears that the housekeeping incident is settled, but he's still laser-focused on Jifeng. His spies tell him that Jifeng has spent the last few years overseas and hasn't had direct contact with the chairman. But Siyuan is a paranoid man. He tells his subordinates to keep Jifeng under 24/7 surveillance. That night, Xiaoyan takes Miyu up to the rooftop to celebrate her big win. Even though Miyu isn't 100% sure why she got promoted, she knows in her heart that Jifeng is behind it. She realizes that while he might have been a bit shady about her ex-husband at first, since she started working at this hotel, he has consistently stepped up to save her when it counts. Xiaoyan, however, gives her a reality check. Being a team lead isn't all glitz and glamour. The guests on the VIP floors are the sharks of the business world, people so powerful that even Xiaoyan is afraid of them. Plus, the housekeeping staff is full of old-timers who aren't going to take orders from a rookie. She's right. The second Miyu gets back to her room, her roommate Qingping starts throwing shade. She snidely remarks that Miyu must have a very sturdy mountain to lean on if she managed to survive 3 bad reviews and jump straight into a leadership role. The next morning is Miyu's first day as boss, and it's a disaster. When she calls for the morning roll call, Qingping just ignores her and walks away, claiming she has rooms to clean. The others stay glued to their phones, acting like she's invisible. One staff member even has the nerve to just throw a 5-day leave request on the table and walk out. Because Miyu is naturally polite and too nice, she doesn't know how to discipline them and ends up just letting the disrespect slide. Meanwhile, a new guest named Mr. Niu arrives at the hotel for a business trip. But as he's standing at the front desk checking in, his life falls apart. He gets a phone call informing him that he's been fired from his job, right there in the lobby. The chaos continues as a staff member named Kaka makes an epic fail. She forgets to update the room status in the system and accidentally leads the fuming Mr. Niu, who just got fired, into the room where Jifeng is already staying. Already at his breaking point, Mr. Niu unleashes all his rage on the poor girl. Miyu rushes to the scene to play peacemaker, but Mr. Niu is in no mood to back down. Seeing the deadlock, Jifeng decides to take the high road. He packs his bags and voluntarily gives up his room to the man. Miyu is incredibly relieved and thanks him profusely. Jifeng, however, stays cool and distant, telling her that he owes her an apology for the past anyway, and by saving her job now, they are finally even. Kaka, knowing she messed up big time, goes to Miyu to apologize. To her surprise, Miyu doesn't punish her at all and forgives her on the spot. Jifeng, who is in the room next door, hears the whole thing and sighs in frustration. He realizes Miyu still has that chronic people-pleaser disease. She's just too soft and always lets people off the hook. Later, while grabbing a meal with Shui Rei, the CFO, the topic of Miyu's promotion comes up. Shui Rei explains his logic. To really change the hotel's culture, they need loyal and honest people on the inside. Since he recruited Miyu himself and saw her integrity, he wants to keep her as a trusted ally. But Jifeng disagrees. He argues that Miyu lacks backbone and principles, and her nice girl act is eventually going to lead her straight into a trap. And he was right. Trouble hits almost immediately. A group of elderly guests checks in, and one woman has a severe, terrifying allergic reaction. The group is convinced the hotel's towels are the culprit. Miyu is called in to handle the crisis, but she's frozen in place, completely overwhelmed by the screaming guests. She reports the incident to her boss, but he's already in cover-up mode. He insists the hotel is blameless, claiming the guest just has sensitive skin, and he orders Miyu to be firm and uncompromising with the elderly group. Miyu follows orders and tells the guests they have to wait for an official investigation. Little does she know, one of the guests is recording the entire argument on their phone. Meanwhile, Jifeng is doing some sleuthing of his own. He secretly sends a towel sample to a lab, and the results are damning. The laundry process is substandard, leaving behind dangerous levels of chemical residue. The video of Miyu fighting with the guests explodes online, and the PR nightmare begins. Guests start canceling their bookings in droves. Jifeng tells a panicked Miyu to stay calm, while she gathers her housekeeping team in the linen closet for an emergency meeting. By this time, even Shui Ri has seen the viral scandal video while walking through the city. The big boss, Si Yuan, calls the department head, who frantically promises to fix the mess immediately. But the housekeeping staff on the VIP floor are only interested in themselves. They use the chaos as an excuse to hide out in the linen room and slack off, leaving Miyu to do all the heavy lifting alone. While Miyu is working herself to the bone, Jifeng goes undercover. He follows a staff member down to the laundry room, pretending to be from another department to dig for info. One of the workers there spills all the tea. The hotel's linens are ancient and falling apart, so they use incredibly harsh bleach to make them look white. As for the budget meant for new linens, that money is being funneled straight into the pockets of a manager named Kai Xin. After days of non-stop work, the housekeeping staff is physically exhausted. Miyu goes to Kai Xin to beg for overtime pay for her team, but he flips the script. He gaslights her, blaming the staff for the crisis and refusing to pay a cent. Not only does she leave empty-handed, but she also gets a brutal scolding for even asking. With the hotel in a full-blown crisis, Jifeng heads to a private villa to meet with Chairman Wang Jun. He doesn't sugarcoat the situation. If they want to save the hotel, they need major surgery. They have to cut out the corruption and dismantle the entire bribe-taking network from the top down. Even though this will destroy many people's careers, especially in housekeeping, the chairman gives him the green light. She tells him she trusts him completely. Whatever the cost, they must save the hotel's reputation. But the corrupt managers aren't going down without a fight. Realizing the heat is on, Kai Xin immediately switches to a new linen supplier to hide the evidence and rushes to report his quick fix to the general manager, Si Yuan. The moment Si Yuan sees Kai Xin's face, he loses it. The hotel is in a PR tailspin, and they need to give the public an explanation fast. The image director suggests the oldest trick in the book: make Miyu the scapegoat. They decide to hold a press conference the next morning to pin everything on her. But then, a bombshell drops. Chairman Wang Jun calls Si Yuan to inform him that as of tomorrow, Jifeng is officially the new general manager of the hotel. Memories of 10 years ago flood back to Si Yuan. His aunt, the chairman, had always trusted Jifeng more than her own nephew, and the flames of jealousy in Si Yuan's heart start burning hotter than ever. The next day, during the press conference on safety and hygiene, Jifeng meets with Si Yuan first. Si Yuan puts on a fake smile and offers a hollow apology for their past friction, but Jifeng doesn't even blink. He couldn't care less about Si Yuan's games. They head to the press conference together, but Si Yuan pulls a power move. He claims he has an exclusive interview with the Weekend Times and leads Jifeng to face the hungry pack of reporters alone. Even Ao Xiang shows up, just to watch the chaos unfold. Despite having zero preparation, Jifeng is invited onto the stage. He starts with a sincere apology for the hotel's poor management, but then he drops the hammer. Just as Si Yuan's people drag Miyu out to be the fall guy, Jifeng stands tall. In front of all the cameras, he boldly declares that the service staff is not at fault. Instead, he announces a scorched earth investigation into the entire management team. In the audience, Kai Xin starts breaking out in a cold sweat. Later, in the restroom, Ao Xiang corners Jifeng. He's confused. They had a deal for Jifeng to be his GM in a year, so why start at this hotel now? Jifeng just jokes that he needs to build up enough battle experience so he can demand an even higher salary from Ao Xiang later. Si Yuan sets up an office for Jifeng, but it's a trap. He gifts him Secretary Wu, who is actually a spy meant to report Jifeng's every move. Jifeng accepts the gift without a word and immediately orders Secretary Wu to call a mandatory all-hands staff meeting. Before the meeting, Jifeng catches Miyu and gives her a pep talk, telling her to keep her head up. While she's out inspecting rooms, a male reporter sneaks in and tries to bait her with gotcha questions to film a viral clip. Miyu stays silent, but Jifeng catches the guy in the act. He films the reporter right back and warns him that his harassment could lead to a lawsuit. But the corrupt managers aren't done with her. Kai Xin calls Miyu in for an interrogation, trying to frame her for defaming the hotel. Just as he's about to drag her to Si Yun's office to be fired, Jifeng appears like a guardian angel. He tells Kai Xin to back off, stating he personally witnessed the reporter harassing her and that she did nothing wrong. He then calls the department head into the meeting room, and it's time for the showdown. When Si Yun enters the meeting room, the staff pulls another petty move. They all stand up to greet him, while completely ignoring Jifeng. Siyun introduces Jifeng as the new GM, but makes sure to emphasize that Jifeng is sitting in his chair. Jifeng doesn't take the bait. He throws the lab results right at Kaixin and demands a solution. Kaixin stammers that they've already changed laundry companies, but Jifeng isn't satisfied. He demands a total overhaul of the entire supply chain and orders every manager to use their connections to find brand new suppliers. After the meeting, the CFO, Xu Rui, pulls Jifeng aside. He's worried that a total supply chain swap will lead to a massive shortage of linens, which could bankrupt the hotel. Jifeng leans in and whispers a secret. The chairman has already approved an emergency fund. He's only using this supplier hunt as a trap to catch the managers who are secretly taking kickbacks. Meanwhile, the staff gossip is reaching a fever pitch. People are whispering that Miyu and Jifeng are involved, and some even accuse Miyu of pocketing the overtime pay she requested for the team. At the same time, Kaixin posts in the workgroup chat, asking if anyone has a temporary linen supplier to put out the fire. The episode ends with a massive cliffhanger. While Miyu is cleaning Jifeng's room, she overhears him on a frantic phone call. A friend tells him that his secret shipment of high-quality linens is stuck in customs. With Jifeng's back against the wall, Miyu decides to step up. She reaches out to Alan, a supplier who used to provide linens for her family's homestay, and begs her to rush over a set of samples. Miyu even gathers the factory's quality reports to submit to Kaixin for approval. But Kaixin is a total snake. He literally throws her proposal into the trash. It turns out he's already colluding with other managers to secure a different supplier so they can all pocket a massive illegal commission. Miyu tries to follow up on her proposal, but the secretary tells her that since Kaixin hasn't signed off on it, her hands are tied. Meanwhile, Jifeng's shipment is still stuck in customs, and other factories are trying to extort him, demanding an extra 100%. Knowing the situation is critical, Miyu takes a huge risk. She sneaks into Jifeng's room and makes his bed using the samples from Alan so he can test the quality himself. When Jifeng returns, Miyu is ready. She answers all his technical questions about thread counts and certifications like a pro. Jifeng looks her in the eye and asks the million-dollar question. Right now, the whole hotel is siding with Kaixin to make my life miserable. If you stand with me, aren't you afraid of being isolated? Miyu doesn't blink. She tells him that as long as she isn't fired, she's ready to fight by his side. Jifeng is clearly moved. In a surprising twist, he starts stripping the bed and remaking it himself with professional-grade speed and precision. Miyu stands there in total shock. She didn't expect the general manager to be a master of housekeeping. Meanwhile, the big boss, Siyen, finds out that Kaixin submitted an insanely overpriced quote. He's livid and gives Kaixin a brutal reality check. Sensing the tide is turning, Alan and her factory director personally deliver the shipment to the hotel. Miyu is there to greet them, incredibly relieved that the crisis is over. Alan, on the other hand, is just as grateful to Miyu for giving her small factory a chance to partner with a 5-star hotel. Jifeng calls an emergency meeting and announces that the entire hotel's linen supply has been successfully replaced. Since Miyu was the one who saved the day, he awards her a spot bonus of 10,000. Miyu is over the moon. But her joy is short-lived. As she's walking past the linen room, she hears the staff whispering behind her back. They're complaining that they did all the heavy lifting, but the new girl with the powerful connections is the only one getting paid. After her shift, Miyu meets Jifeng to pay back the debt he covered for her earlier. As they walk along the river, Jifeng thanks her for saving his skin. He tells her that the previous shipment actually cleared customs too, so they'll have plenty of backups, a smart move in Shanghai's humid weather. He opens up to her, admitting that while he's been a server for years, this is actually his first time sitting in the general manager's chair. He tells her he hopes they can continue to grow together. When Miyu mentions the staff's resentment over her bonus, Jifeng gives her some more tough love advice. He tells her that her fear of making enemies is her biggest weakness. If you don't want the money, give it back, he says. But Miyu has changed. She looks at him and says, if you had the guts to give it to me, I have the guts to take it. Jifeng smiles, realizing she's finally toughening up. He leaves her with one last tip. Until she builds her own reputation, let people think she has a powerful mountain protecting her. It's actually a great shield. The next morning, the hammer drops. Jifeng holds a management meeting and finds Kaixin responsible for the recent financial losses. Kaixin tries to act tough, and the other corrupt managers try to defend him. Jifeng knows he hasn't fully won over the room yet, so he plays it smart. He punishes Kaixin with a public reprimand and docks his bonus for the entire quarter. The hotel begins a period of strict internal auditing, bringing back the high standards that had been lost. Back on the floor, Miyu is finally acting like a real team lead. When a lazy employee named Xiaojia tries to use the "I'm tired" excuse to dump her work on Miyu and Yinxiang, Miyu doesn't take the bait. She looks Xiaojia right in the face and says, if you're that exhausted, don't bother working. Just go put in your leave request right now. Seeing that her boss isn't playing around anymore, Xiaojia stops faking her illness. She begrudgingly grabs her cleaning supplies, but her attitude is still trash. While cleaning a room, Xiaojia can't help herself. She starts snooping through a guest's private handbag. Miyu catches her and gives her a stern warning, but Xiaojia snaps. She unleashes all her pent-up rage on Miyu and eventually just throws her cleaning rag down, refusing to finish the job. Meanwhile, Jifeng is launching a surprise audit of the finance department. The manager Huang pulls a disappearing act to avoid him. Another manager tries to bury Jifeng in work by dumping a massive cart filled with disorganized financial records from years ago on his desk, hoping to drown him in paperwork. Shui Wade watches from the sidelines, hearing the finance staff mock Jifeng's useless enthusiasm. Feeling the weight of the corruption, Shui invites Jifeng out for a drink. He hands Jifeng a notebook filled with insider secrets and drops a bombshell. He's officially resigning and leaving the hotel for good. Back at the hotel, the son of a high-profile elderly gentleman, Ji Zhou, arrives for an art exhibition. That evening, while Miyu is checking in to make sure the old man took his medication, she happens to run into Chairman Wan Jun. Still having no idea who the woman actually is, Miyu just treats her like a normal guest. When Ji Zhou sees how much Miyu actually knows about art, he's so impressed that he hands her his personal business card, a major win for a lowly team lead. But the peace is shattered when Xiaojia gets caught in a nightmare. A guest accuses her of stealing a diamond ring. Miyu rushes to the scene to handle the crisis, and Jifeng arrives shortly after to try and de-escalate the situation. Miyu pulls Xiaojia into the bedroom for a private interrogation. Xiaojia swears on her life she didn't steal it. She says she only looked at it because she was curious, and besides, she looked it up online and realized the ring was a fake. Outside, the guest is getting louder and more aggressive, demanding the hotel pay her the full value in cash immediately. Jifeng goes to check the CCTV, while Miyu makes a bold move. She calls the maintenance team and orders them to dismantle the toilet. The plumber thinks it's a waste of time and refuses, but Miyu uses Jifeng's name to pull rank and forces him to do it. After some literal dirty work, Miyu reaches into the pipes and pulls out the ring. She then pulls a genius move. She shouts at the top of her lungs that she's taking the ring for a professional appraisal to ensure the hotel takes full responsibility. The guest, knowing the ring is a total knockoff, panics. She grabs the ring and bolts out of the hotel before anyone can prove she was a fraud. Xiaojia is so humbled by Miyu's cleverness that she finally bows her head and apologizes. The administration holds a meeting, and Xiaojia is docked her bonus for the month. Surprisingly, she accepts the punishment without a single complaint. Miyu takes this moment to reset the team's discipline. Then, in a move that wins over the entire staff, she sends a massive red envelope, cash gift, into the team's group chat, sharing her own 10,000 T bonus with everyone. Just like that, the team is back on her side. On the corporate side, things are still messy. The accounting department is refusing to pay any invoices because they lack Xinyan's signature. Shui Rui looks at the monthly report and sees revenue has plummeted by 50%. Worried for his friend but feeling defeated, he heads to the train station. He sits in the small diner where he and Jifeng used to hang out, looking at an old photo of the two of them. In the end, he realizes he can't leave his brother to fight this war alone. He turns around and heads back to the hotel. At the same time, Jifeng is reading Shi Rei's notebook and realizes he needs his friend's help to decode the messy records. He's about to hop in a taxi to the station when he sees Shi Rei standing right there. The two brothers share a look, no words needed. Shi Rei is back, and Jifeng appoints him as his personal assistant. Shi Rei quickly maps out the enemy web. The general manager Si Yuan, the finance manager Huang, and the procurement manager Kaixin are all family or close relatives. They are a corrupt triad. If you touch one, the other three will jump you. To make things worse, two of the hotel's biggest corporate partners have coincidentally paused their contracts to starve the hotel of cash. But Jifeng is 3 steps ahead. He reveals a secret weapon. He's already closed a massive deal with a major conglomerate to carry the hotel through the crisis. At that very moment, Kaixin is complaining to his corrupt relatives about being Jifeng's scapegoat. Suddenly, their phones chime. Jifeng has just emailed all 4 of them the details of the new conglomerate partnership. Most of the managers acknowledge Jifeng's email, but Kaixin, still playing the tough guy, pretends to ignore it. However, the second his phone rings and it's Jifeng on the other end, he scurries off to a corner to answer. When he hears the news that Miyu will be in charge of receiving the high-profile group, Kaixin is secretly fuming. He can't stand that a newbie and an ally of the boss is getting all the glory. That's when the finance manager, Huang, drops some cold-blooded advice. Use this opportunity to set a trap for her. He tells Kaixin that if they can't take down Jifeng directly, they should start by eliminating his right hand, Miyu. Kaixin immediately puts on a fake smile and calls Miyu into his office. He lies through his teeth, saying that the general manager, Si-yoon, personally chose her to host the group and that he expects her to win big for the hotel. Meanwhile, in the sales department, the news arrives, but Hwang intentionally leaves the task list vague. Zhenzhen sees the notification but stays quiet, already planning her own move. That evening, Yu Cheng is at home working on a contract renewal for the hotel. Zhenzhen stops him, advising him to hold off on signing. She points out that since Jifeng took over, the hotel has been in chaos, and there's no telling if Si-yoon will even keep his job. But Zhenzhen has more than just business on her mind. She's found a luxury house in a top-tier school district. She's already planning for their baby's education and demands that Yu Cheng take her to see the house over the weekend. Yu Cheng tries to argue that the baby isn't even born yet, but Zhenzhen is relentless, insisting that the competition for good schools is cutthroat and they need to buy now. During her night shift, Miyu is laser-focused, studying every detail about the group. Jifeng passes by and gives her a tip. The VIP, Mr. Ma, is an overseas Chinese who has stayed in the world's finest hotels. Miyu confidently promises she will handle this VIP with absolute perfection. The next day, Miyu is at the entrance early, ready to go. Zhenzhen is also there, representing the sales department. Miyu escorts Mr. Ma to his room, but the second he walks in, he starts sneezing uncontrollably. Miyu panics and quickly removes the flower arrangement from the table. Later, at the executive lounge, Miyu prepares a salad and tops it with dressing out of habit. Zhenzhen, watching like a hawk, snatches the plate away and orders the server to replace it immediately with something else. After Mr. Ma goes to rest, Jifeng gives Miyu a harsh scolding for her lack of preparation. Miyu feels completely defeated. She had memorized every word of the briefing she was given, and it didn't say a single thing about pollen allergies or dietary dislikes. Meanwhile, Kaixin is standing in the background, enjoying every second of her public humiliation. That night, Jifeng calls Miyu into his office. He's not actually mad. He knows exactly what happened. He knows Kaixin dug a hole and pushed her into it. Miyu pulls out her briefing folder, and the truth comes out. The files were swapped. She knows because her original copy had highlighted sections, and this one didn't. Jifeng hands her a real set of documents and tells her to start studying for real this time. The next day, while Jun is hosting Mr. Ma for a meal, Jifeng joins them. This time, Miyu is ready. She follows the real plan, serving the exact dishes that make Mr. Ma feel right at home. He is delighted and thanks Jifeng for the incredible hospitality. On another front, the CFO, Shui Rei, goes to the procurement office to audit the books. A manager named Tran intentionally hides the ledgers, claiming he doesn't have the authority to release them without Si Yuan's direct order. Shui Rei just leaves a message for the boss and walks out. Back in the office, Jifeng tells Shui Rei that he expected this resistance. He reveals his master plan. He's going to force Si Yuan out. Shui Rei warns him that Si Yuan's roots go deep. The guy is making a fortune in kickbacks from the hotel's food and beverage procurement. Jifeng stays calm. He knows that other hotels are already headhunting Shi Yan, and he plans to help him make the move. When the hot-headed Shi Yan hears that Jifeng is coming for his money pot, he blows a fuse. He decides to play his biggest card, a strike. He walks out of the hotel, taking a large chunk of the management team with him. Meanwhile, Zhenzhen has been busy. She successfully convinces Mr. Ma to host a major banquet for construction companies in one of the hotel's smaller ballrooms. After signing the final approval, Jifeng reveals to Shui Rei that he has the perfect candidate for the executive chef position, their friend Xiaoyan. He decides to use this emergency banquet as a trial by fire to see if she has what it takes to lead the kitchen. Xiaoyan immediately asks for sous chefs to help, but with a recent staff walkout, Jifeng has no one to give her. Miyu heads down to the kitchen to get some papers signed by the former manager, Xiaoyan, only to find his office locked tight. Seeing Xiaoyan struggling alone, Miyu rolls up her sleeves and starts prepping vegetables. Even the CFO, Shui Rei, volunteers to help, bragging that he's always the head chef at home during the holidays. Suddenly, it's a full-blown all-hands-on-deck situation. Jifeng eventually breaks into Si Yuan's office, only to discover that the snake took every single ledger and record with him. The crisis in the Chinese restaurant is way worse than they imagined. With the kitchen still short-staffed, the general manager himself, Jifeng, starts peeling tomatoes. Miyu tries to show him a simple trick to make it faster, but watching Jifeng fumble around like a total amateur is almost painful. She finally tells him to go back to the lobby to host the guests and let her handle the prep work so they can actually finish on time. As Mr. Ma and his guests begin the tasting, the reviews are glowing. Jifeng finally starts to breathe a sigh of relief. However, word comes in that the service in the other dining rooms is painfully slow, and guests are getting restless. Jifeng doesn't hesitate. He personally heads to the pass and starts running plates to the tables himself, which immediately boosts the kitchen's efficiency. In the main VIP room, a high-profile guest from Guangdong is demanding Hainanese chicken rice, but Xiaoyan realizes with horror that they've run out of rice. Panic sets in, but Miyu saves the day with a clutch idea. Swap the rice for her specialty fishbone bamboo leaf noodles. With no other choice, Xiaoyan gives the green light. Miyu starts kneading dough immediately, and within minutes, a steaming bowl of noodles is ready. She gives Jifeng a small taste first, just as Zhenzhen storms into the kitchen to demand the food. When Zhenzhen realizes they changed the main course without her permission, she blows a fuse. Miyu explains that it was a split-second decision, and that the noodles are actually better suited for the elderly guests at the table. Zhenzhen demands that Miyu take 100% of the responsibility if the guests are unhappy. Without missing a beat, Jifeng steps in and takes all the blame himself. Fuming, Zhenzhen follows the server to deliver the dish. The result? Mr. Ma is absolutely obsessed with the meal. He insists on meeting the chef in person to thank them. When Xiaoyan leads the kitchen staff into the small dining room, Mr. Ma is stunned to see such a young, beautiful woman in charge. When he learns that the legendary noodles were actually made by the housekeeper, Miyu, he's so impressed that he orders the exact same menu for breakfast the next day. Back in the kitchen, Jifeng declares the night a total victory and officially puts Xiaoyan in charge of the entire culinary department. While one veteran chef looks salty, the rest of the team is fully behind her. Shui Rui even saves a special lunchbox for Xiaoyan to celebrate her big career move. When Ao Xiang hears that Si Yuan was replaced by a mystery chef whose food is getting standing ovations, he rushes to the hotel to see for himself. He's shocked to find out it's Xiaoyan. He immediately offers to double her salary if she leaves the hotel to work for him, but Xiaoyan turns him down. She tells him she stepped in during a crisis, and she's already developed a deep bond with the hotel. Suddenly, the mood shifts. Mr. Ma receives a devastating call. His grandfather has fallen into a coma. His spirit is crushed, and he asks to retire to his room early. Miyu carefully prepares his suite to ensure he isn't disturbed. When Zhenzhen tries to push her way in to talk business, Miyu blocks her, firmly reminding her to show some respect and leave the guest alone in his time of grief. Back at home, Zhenzhen is fuming. She complains to Yu Cheng that Miyu is always trying to be the hero and stealing her spotlight at every turn. The next morning, Zhenzhen tries to track down Mr. Ma to close her contract, but Miyu drops the news. He's already booked a flight and is heading to the airport immediately. However, luck is on their side. Mr. Ma gets to the airport only to find his flight is delayed. During that 4-hour wait, Miyu takes him on a secret trip. She brings him to the Architecture Academy, where his grandfather studied as a young man. At the Architecture Academy, they find a class photo of Mar's grandfather from his youth. Mar immediately starts a video call with the old man, and what happens next is nothing short of a miracle. Looking at the old faces, the grandfather recognizes every single one of his former friends, and in that moment, his memory snaps back, and he recognizes his grandson, Mar. Overjoyed, Mar thanks Miyu profusely for helping his grandfather find his lost memories. After returning home, Mar sends an official email to Jifeng, signing a massive long-term partnership with the hotel. Jifeng holds a meeting to publicly praise Zhenzhen from the sales department for closing the deal, leaving her in charge of the account to keep the peace. However, the drama is far from over. Miyu returns to the hotel only to find Kaixin trying to blame her for the earlier pollen allergy incident. But Jifeng isn't having it. He steps out and exposes the truth. He's already uncovered the fact that the housekeeping department provided false information. On top of that, he reveals Kaixin's corruption regarding the soap and linen kickbacks from before. He fires Kaixin on the spot. Kaixin, arrogant as ever, expects the other senior managers to defend him, but they stay dead silent after Jifeng shuts them down. Si Yuan eventually arrives to pick up a disgraced Kaixin. As they leave, Kaixin begs Si Yuan for justice, and Si Yuan reassures him, "Go work at a friend's hotel for now. We'll find a way to kick Jifeng out later." As for Zhenzhen, even though Jifeng praised her, she's terrified that her boss, Huang, will think she switched sides. The second the meeting ends, she runs to Huang's office to kiss up to him, swearing that she only worked hard to give their department more leverage against Jifeng. But when she gets home, her perfect life takes a hit. She overhears her mother-in-law trashing her to Yu Cheng, complaining that Zhenzhen is never home and only cares about her career. The mother-in-law even snidely remarks, "If she hadn't gotten pregnant first, I never would have let you marry her." Zhenzhen acts like she didn't hear a thing, walks into the room and brags about her promotion, leaving her mother-in-law fuming. Back at the hotel, Miyu is busy serving a regular guest who informs her that a famous singer will be staying at the hotel tomorrow and requires the presidential suite. Seeing the room is available, Miyu accepts the booking. But at the front desk, she runs right into Zhenzhen, who is also trying to book the presidential suite for her friend, Fifi. Miyu stands her ground, sticking to the first-come, first-served principle. Infuriated, Zenzhen runs to Jifeng to tattle, but he just tells her he'll look into it. The next day, the famous singer arrives. In the hallway, she's cornered by Aoshang, who acts like a total fanboy, demanding a selfie. The singer politely declines because she isn't wearing makeup, and Miyu steps in to save her from the awkwardness. Once inside the suite, the singer tells Miyu she struggles with insomnia and begs for absolute peace and quiet. But Zenzhen isn't letting the room go. She's still making a scene, demanding the suite for Fifi. Trapped in a corner, Miyu goes to Aoshang and asks him to move out of his current luxury suite for a few days to accommodate Fifi. Aoshang, being a spoiled brat, makes a deal. I'll move, but only if you introduce me to the singer. Just as Miyu is stuck in an impossible spot, Jifeng walks in and promises to make it happen. Jifeng works his magic and secures a ticket to a high-profile fashion gala, giving Aoshang the chance to walk the red carpet with the singer. However, that night, Aoshang storms into Jifeng's office in a rage. It turns out the singer completely snubbed him. He's so humiliated that he demands to move back into the presidential suite immediately. Jifeng doesn't flinch. He gives Aoshang a reality check, reminding him that his father's, the chairman's, top assistant is currently staying at the hotel. Jifeng hints that if word gets back that Aoshang is ignoring his work just to chase celebrities, he's going to be in deep trouble. The next day, the celebrity Fifi officially checks in. Miyu lays down the law for her staff. Absolute privacy for the VIP. She orders them to stay alert and manage any fans who show up, to ensure there are no arguments or scenes in the lobby. But a disaster is brewing in the kitchen. A regular elderly couple orders the classic cured pork and bamboo shoot soup, but after one bite, they complain it tastes nothing like it used to. They are so offended that they cancel their massive booking for the following month on the spot. Xiaoyan rushes to the storage room to investigate and finds the problem. The specific cured pork used for the recipe is completely out of stock. She questions the chef in charge of supplies, but the guy is a total quiet quitter and acts like he couldn't care less. To make matters worse, a regular named Jia Ming orders the exact same soup. With no other choice, the kitchen tries to substitute a different type of cured pork. Jia Ming takes one sip and immediately calls them out. The flavor is wrong. Ji Feng gets involved and discovers the truth. The pork supplier has a long-standing secret deal with the ousted manager, Si Yun. Now that Si Yun is gone, the supplier has cut off the hotel to sabotage them. Ji Feng tells Xiaoyan she needs to find a way to fix the recipe and find a new flavor profile, and she needs to do it fast. That night, long after everyone is clocked out, Xiaoyan is still in the kitchen, sweating over the stove, trying to perfect the new soup. Miyu stops by, and on her way out, she runs into Ji Feng, so she invites him down to the kitchen for a tasting. Even the CFO, Shui Rui, joins in. The verdict? The dream team all agrees. Xiaoyan's new recipe is actually fresher and more delicious than the original. The next morning, the new soup is officially added back to the menu. The initial feedback is great, but just as things are looking up, a server rushes into the kitchen in a panic. Someone is causing a scene in the Chinese restaurant. A male guest is throwing a fit, demanding to see the head chef. Xiaoyan walks out to face him. The man starts screaming that the hotel secretly replaced the old chef and that the soup doesn't taste right. Xiaoyan calmly explains that the change was announced publicly on their website, but the guy just shouts back, "Who has time to check a website before they eat?" Sensing the tension, Shui Ri rushes over to play peacemaker. He apologizes profusely and comps the man's entire meal for free. He then tries to reassure the other diners that the new chef brings a fresh, unique perspective to the menu. Xiaoyan tries to speak up, but Shui Ri pulls her away. Back in the kitchen, Xiaoyan blows up at Shui Ri. She's insulted. To her, comping the bill was like saying her hard work and her talent were worthless. Shui Ri tries to explain that the guy was obviously a plant sent to cause trouble, and arguing with him would have only made the PR nightmare worse. It gets uglier. The Chinese restaurant starts getting flooded with phone calls from people canceling their reservations. Meanwhile, over in another part of the hotel, the bratty Ao Xiang is plotting with the disgraced Si Yan to permanently cut off the hotel's supply of high-quality pork. Seeing the hotel's online reputation plummeting, Ji Feng makes a drastic call. He decides to temporarily shut down the Chinese restaurant for a total reorganization. Miyu confronts Ji Feng about the decision while she's collecting his laundry. She thinks it's incredibly unfair. Xiaoyan is his own hire, and now she's being made the villain for a restaurant shutdown that wasn't her fault. Ji Feng tells her that this reset is about more than just soup. It's about the survival of the hotel. He admits he's under massive pressure, but reassures Miyu that he has zero intention of firing Xiaoyan. He knows she's talented. As for Xiaoyan, she's feeling completely humiliated. She can't even look her colleagues in the eye, so she writes out her resignation letter. But before she can leave, Shui Ri finds her in the kitchen. He doesn't give her a pep talk, he gives her the data. He shows her the monthly performance reports, proving that since she took over as head chef, the table occupancy rate was actually higher than under the old guy. Seeing the actual data on her success, Xiaoyan changes her mind. She's not quitting. Instead, she decides to use the restaurant's temporary shutdown to go on a flavor quest. She packs her bags for northern Jiangsu to personally track down a new, high-quality supplier of cured meat. Meanwhile, at the hotel's headquarters, a high-stakes board meeting is underway to discuss a massive renovation project. One director argues it's the perfect time to upgrade, but another pushes back, calling the $5 million investment a reckless gamble. Even the former GM, Si Yan, chimes in, arguing that the Chinese restaurant only needs good food, not fancy decor. Suddenly, the bratty shareholder, Ao Xiang, bursts into the meeting. He plays his hand. He's just opened a rival restaurant right across the street and hired Si Yan's old chef. To make things worse, he snatched the interior design firm the hotel wanted to use. Jifeng doesn't flinch. He calmly states he never wanted that chef back anyway, and he already has a backup designer. He then makes a bold bet. He guarantees the renovated restaurant will be profitable within 1 month and show continuous growth for the following 3. The chairman calls for a vote, and the plan narrowly passes with 3 yes votes. Miyu, hearing the gossip that Ao Xiang stole the design team, decides to help. She secretly slips the business card of the architect she met earlier, Jia Ming, into Jifeng's vest pocket while handling his laundry. It works. Jifeng meets with Jia Ming, who proposes a stunning new Chinese aesthetic using intricate carved partitions. Jia Ming even brings in his son, Ji Zhou, to help coordinate the events for the new launch. Over in the celebrity department, Zhen informs Feifei about an upcoming shoot and tells Miyu to make sure the celeb is ready on time. But when Miyu tries to find the assistant to finalize the details, the guy has already clocked out. Miyu uses her initiative and briefs the famous singer, the other VIP guest, on the schedule so she can avoid the media circus when the film crew arrives. The next morning, chaos erupts. The celebrity makeup artist Dai Wei shows up 30 minutes late for Fifi's session. Miyu tries to hurry him along, but Dai Wei is a total prima donna, snapping back and blaming the hotel's poor preparation. By the time they finally head downstairs, it's too late. The famous singer and her boyfriend are already in the lobby doing an interview, stealing every single camera and every ounce of media attention. Zhen immediately runs to Jifeng to blame Miyu for the delay. Jifeng calls Miyu into his office. She explains that she tried to prepare everything, but she couldn't reach Dai Wei because he was AWOL. Jifeng orders Zhen to apologize to the production team first. Seeing how upset Miyu is, he gives her a professional tip. Elite service means knowing how to handle unexpected disasters with flexibility. Zhen goes to apologize to Dai Wei, who is still fuming because the famous singer stole his spotlight. Seizing the moment, Zhen promises to make it up to him. Just then, an assistant from the VIP guest Mar arrives at the hotel. Jifeng calls Zhen to receive them. The assistant hands over a heartfelt thank you letter from Mar, but there's a catch. The very first line of the letter says, "To Miyu." Jifeng realizes that the only reason Mar signed the long-term deal was because he was so impressed by Miyu's personal service. Zhen has to stand there and take the letter in an incredibly awkward, humiliating moment. Zhen is now out for blood. She finds out that a group of Feifei's obsessive fans are trying to sneak into the presidential suite to get autographs. Instead of stopping them, she gives them Ah Yang's phone number, telling them that this man will help them. The 3 stands quickly check into the hotel and end up meeting Ah Yang through an online game. Once they're friends, they reveal their true mission. They want to track down the famous singer and get revenge for her stealing the spotlight from their idol, Feifei. Miyu's spider sense starts tingling when she notices the 3 girls in the lobby have matching Fifi keychains on their bags. She starts keeping a close eye on them. Meanwhile, Ji Zhou is in a panic. He's at the hotel to meet his father, the architect Jia Ming, but his dad isn't answering the phone. Miyu decides to help him look, but before she leaves, she gives the staff a direct order. No one gets near the presidential suite. But the bratty Ao Xiang is looking for trouble. He waits for the perfect opening, distracts the floor security, and sneaks the 3 stands upstairs. The second they see the famous singer, they start snapping photos like crazy. Miyu eventually tracks down Jia Ming, who is completely wasted at a jazz bar. On the way back, her phone starts blowing up with missed calls. When she rushes back to the hotel, it's total mayhem. The fans and the famous singer are in a full-blown screaming match, and Zhen is just standing there with a smirk on her face, enjoying the show like it's a Netflix drama. The next day, Zhen drops the hammer. The famous singer is suing the hotel for the security breach. She publicly blames Miyu for being irresponsible. Jifeng happens to pass by and steps in to defend Miyu, but once Zhen leaves, he pulls Miyu aside. He tells her the situation is grave and is seriously damaging the hotel's reputation. Miyu looks him in the eye and promises she will fix it. First, Miyu tracks down the makeup artist, Dai Wei, hoping he can convince Feifei to tell her fans to back off. But Feifei is loving the viral attention and refuses to help. As she heads back to the desk, Miyu hears that Jizhou left a gift for her. She rushes out to the parking lot to return it. Jizhou explains it's just a simple bracelet, not a luxury item, so she eventually accepts it. Jifeng sees them from a distance and gets visibly annoyed. He thinks Miyu is flirting on the job instead of putting the hotel first. But Miyu is actually 10 steps ahead. She doesn't argue with Jifeng. Instead, she marches straight into the famous singer's room to demand she drop the lawsuit. The singer is arrogant, calling Miyu lowly and saying she isn't even worth talking to. Miyu stays ice cold. She hits the singer with the truth. I told you the film crew was arriving at 8 a.m., so you could avoid them. But you used that info to show up at exactly 8 a.m. with your boyfriend just to steal the headline. She warns the singer that if she sues, the hotel will release the full truth and ruin her career. The singer's manager realizes Miyu has the receipts and immediately drops the lawsuit. Shui Ru is incredibly impressed with Miyu's decisive move. The next morning, Jifeng and Miyu meet the singer, who tears up the legal papers right in front of them. Even Dai Wei is there to make peace. During the conversation, Dai Wei accidentally spills the tea. Ao Xiang was the one who let the fans up, and Zhen was the one who gave them the contact info. Jifeng corners Zhen immediately. He warns her that if she ever tries to snake a colleague again, she can consider herself fired. Zhen panics and promises to be good, even swearing she'll bring in 3 massive new contracts to prove her loyalty. When she gets home, Zhen is exhausted and still working. A drunk Yu Cheng stumbles in and demands she cook him porridge. Zhen snaps. She tells him flatly, "I am not your maid. Call takeout." Back at the kitchen, the stress is getting to Xiaoyan. She tries her new soup recipe for Miyu, but after one taste, Miyu's face says it all. It's still not right. Xiaoyan is so frustrated she smashes the bowl on the floor in a rage. Shu Rei steps in to clean up the mess and tells Miyu to take Xiaoyan home. The 2 girls end up at a bar, drinking away the stress. Miyu has to lug a drunk Xiaoyan back to her place. The next morning, Miyu wakes up early to make breakfast. As Xiaoyan eats, she's actually moved to tears, realizing that as a chef, it's a rare luxury to have someone else cook a meal for her. After their breakfast, Xiaoyan remembers a legendary old-school restaurant known for its traditional recipes. She and Miyu head there immediately. But as fate would have it, Jifeng and Shui Ri are already there for the exact same reason. The place is packed, and since there are no empty tables, the 2 groups are forced to share a seat. It turns out they're all on the same flavor quest to find the perfect cured meat. Xiaoyan explains to the guys that she and Miyu grew up as neighbors, and this spot has always been a local gem. They order a plate of the smoked meat, and it's a total game changer. The flavor is out of this world. Miyu warns them that the owner, Mr. Fuck, is notoriously grumpy and doesn't talk to just anyone, but he has one major weakness. He loves his alcohol. Seizing the opportunity, Miyu starts toast after toast with Mr. Fuck. Jifeng, worried about her getting too drunk, steps in and downs a few shots for her. When Shui Ri finally asks about the recipe, Mr. Fuck gets defensive, thinking they're trying to steal his secret. But after Miyu explains they're just looking for the right supplier, he softens up and reveals his secret source, a small farm located on an island in the middle of a lake. The group heads to the island immediately, but when they arrive, a sign on the door says "Owner away for restocking." While they wait, Shui Ru suggests they check out the nearby wetlands. But luck isn't on his side. He ends up spraining his ankle. Jifeng tells Xiaoyan to take the injured Shui Ru back to the hotel first, while Miyu, acting as the local guide, stays behind with Jifeng to wait for the owner. As soon as Shui Ru's boat leaves, Jifeng gets an urgent work call that needs his immediate attention. They rush back to the pier, but it's too late. The boat has already set sail. A local fisherman tells them a storm warning just went out, and that was the very last boat for the day. They're officially stranded. Seconds later, the sky opens up. Jifeng throws his coat over both of them to shield her from the downpour as they run toward a small boat docked near the pier for shelter. Inside, Miyu finds some dry towels to dry him off and manages to get a small space heater running. In the quiet of the rain, Jifeng finally apologizes for being so hard on her during the famous singer incident. Miyu admits that his tough love actually made sense, and she isn't holding a grudge. Drenching in the rain takes its toll, and Jifeng starts coming down with a high fever. Miyu finds some old cardboard boxes and flattens them out to make a makeshift bed for him. As she's helping him lie down, she trips and falls right on top of him. For a long, heart-stopping moment, their eyes meet in the dim light of the boat. Flustered and blushing, Miyu quickly scrambles back to her feet. By the next morning, Jifeng's fever had broken. They head back to the farm and have a meal with the owners. When they mention they want to place a bulk order, the lady boss is thrilled and packs a bunch of samples for them to take back. The moment they arrive back at the hotel, Shui Ri is waiting at the door. He's in a rush, dragging Jifeng up to the office to sign a contract with a TV production crew. Meanwhile, Miyu heads back to her housekeeping department. Shui Ri can't help but poke and prod, asking what really happened during their night alone on the island. But Jifeng and Miyu both play it cool, and act like they can't hear him. Later that morning, Jifeng personally delivers the thank you card from Mar to Miyu. He admits he was wrong about her and offers her one wish as an apology. Miyu doesn't ask for money or a promotion. Instead, she asks to be included in the upcoming internal performance evaluation to see how far she can actually go in this industry. Since the process is handled internally, they finally exchange WeChat contacts. When Miyu looks at his profile, she's stunned. His profile picture is a photo of the very island where they were just stranded. Back in the kitchen, Xiaoyan uses the new batch of meat to recreate the soup. Jifeng, Miyu, and Shuirei all take a sip, and the verdict is unanimous. The flavor is back to its legendary standard. Jifeng smiles, officially declaring that the grand reopening of the Chinese restaurant is finally within reach. Before the grand reopening, the bratty Aoshang sneaks down to the kitchen to see what the buzz is about. Shuirei, being friendly, gives him a bowl of the new soup to taste. The second Aoshang swallows it, his heart sinks. The flavor is just as good, if not better, than the old chef's. He fakes a smile, promising to bring all his friends to the opening. But the moment he leaves the building, he turns to his assistant with a cold glare. He has no intention of letting this restaurant succeed. Meanwhile, back at their apartment, Miyu and Xiaoyan are chilling and roasting sweet potatoes. Xiaoyan, being the observant best friend, points out that ever since the island trip, Jifeng's attitude toward Miyu has completely flipped. Miyu feels it too, but she's hesitant. Her last marriage left her scarred, and she's not ready to jump back into the fire. Xiaoyan gives her some big sister advice. When the right guy comes along, don't let him slip away. In his own room, Jifeng is having a total main character moment. He keeps replaying that accidental fall on the island in his head. He's so flustered that his heart is racing, and he's so distracted that he accidentally knocks his water glass right off the table. He's definitely got it bad. The day before the opening, Si Yuan is confused. He asks Aoshang why he booked a massive private VIP room for the launch. Aoshang just smirks and says, "I'm just setting the stage. You just worry about your part of the performance." That night, after Jifeng and Miyu leave the kitchen, a shadow sneaks inside. The sabotage is officially in motion. The next morning, Xiaoyan opens the fridge and gasps. Someone swapped her premium cured meat for a batch of cheap, low-grade junk. But Jifeng is 3 steps ahead of the villains. It turns out he had kept a secret backup stash in his own room, just in case. He rushes it down to the kitchen to save the day. But here's the genius part. He doesn't throw the bad meat away. He orders the kitchen to cook it separately and serve it only to Aoshang's VIP room. Upstairs, Aoshang has invited a famous food blogger to critique the meal. The second the blogger tastes the soup made from the sabotaged meat, he winces and pushes the bowl away. Seizing the moment, Aoshang starts shamelessly plugging his own restaurant across the street, bragging that he has the original chef. Right on cue, Miyu walks in. She stays perfectly calm and tells the blogger that there was a minor technical glitch with the first batch. She then brings out a fresh tureen of soup made from the real premium meat. The blogger takes one sip and his eyes light up. He starts raving about the flavor, calling it a masterpiece. Si-yoon walks into the room expecting to see a PR disaster, but instead, he finds the blogger eating happily and showering the hotel with praise. Aoshang storms out in a rage, screaming at Si-yoon for making him look like a fool. Si-yoon is baffled. He's positive he tampered with the meat, but he has no clue how the situation got flipped on its head. Down in the kitchen, the core 4, Jifeng, Miyu, Shuirei, and Xiaoyan celebrate the successful launch. Xiaoyan is ready to hunt down the mole in her kitchen, but Miyu tells her to play it cool. Since Xiaoyan is the boss of the kitchen now, the traitor is bound to slip up eventually. Shuirei adds a cherry on top. Si-yoon bought a massive inventory of meat for his own restaurant, betting the hotel would fail. Now he's stuck with a mountain of raw materials and no customers. To end the night, Xiaoyan decides to be petty in the best way possible. She takes the leftover bad meat that Aoshang's team tried to sabotage her with, turns it into a thank you dish, and sends it over to Aoshang's table with a sarcastic message. Aoshang knows he's been caught red-handed, but he can't say a word. He just has to sit there and swallow his defeat. In the following days, the restaurant becomes the hottest spot in town. There are lines out the door every day just for a bowl of that soup. But through the success, Xiaoyan keeps a hawk eye on one specific veteran chef named Lu. Inside the kitchen, the tension snaps. Chef Lu is absolutely insulted by the accusations, flat out denying he had anything to do with the sabotage. The argument between him and Xiaoyan gets so heated that Shuirei has to physically step in to keep the peace. Meanwhile, upstairs, the hotel is facing a high-class problem. The restaurant is so popular that a guest refuses to check out on time just because they're desperate to try the legendary soup. Seeing the dilemma, Miyu takes the initiative. She tells the guests to go ahead and pack their bags while she personally stands in line at the restaurant to hold their spot. Jifeng does a floor check, and Shuirei drops some bad news. The house is still packed, but the kitchen is officially out of cured meat. Jifeng calls the supplier immediately, but the earliest delivery isn't until the afternoon. While they wait, a Karen-level fight breaks out between two families over their spot in the queue. When they find out the soup is temporarily unavailable, they lose it. Miyu jumps in to de-escalate, suggesting the two families share a table and split a large portion so everyone gets a taste. Surprisingly, the guests love the idea, and table sharing becomes the new trend of the day. Jifeng is impressed, personally thanking Miyu for her quick thinking and flexibility. That night, the core four finally sit down for dinner. They can't believe the chaos of the day. Miyu reveals the secret behind the sudden fame. A major food blogger posted a viral review that's blowing up all over social media. After dinner, Jifeng and Miyu go for a quick walk to grab some drinks. As they walk back, Jifeng is being a total gentleman protector, shielding her from the street traffic. The air between them is thick with unspoken feelings. But when Jifeng brings up the night they spent together on the island, Miyu shuts it down. She explains she only stayed with him because he had a fever and insists their relationship isn't going any further, calling the whole night an unintended accident. Back at the dorms, Miyu has a moment of brutal honesty with herself. She is falling for Jifeng. He saved her so many times. How could she not? But then she looks at her bank balance. Her main goal is paying off her massive debt. To her, falling in love feels like an expensive waste of time she can't afford. Meanwhile, in his room, Jifeng is staring at the cup Miyu bought him, lost in memories of the island, until he's interrupted by a mystery text from an unknown number. To fix the kitchen's toxic vibes, Shui Rui takes Chef Lu and his crew out for barbecue. Xiaoyan shows up, the anger fades, and the team finally makes peace over grilled meat and beers. But the hotel never stays quiet for long. The architect Jia Ming and his band of old-timers are practicing in a guest wing, and the noise complaints are rolling in. Miyu handles it by moving the band down to a vacant basement storage area so they can play as loud as they want. Jifeng finds out and calls Miyu into his office for a boss-level scolding. He's worried about safety. What if something happened to the elderly men in that basement? He tells her she needs to report to him before making calls like that. Miyu leaves feeling crushed, but inside the office, Jifeng and Shui Rui are already moving on to the next big project, the 60th anniversary reunion for the alumni of Lucia Academy. The clients want a vintage old Shanghai vibe with live classical music, which sounds like an expensive nightmare to pull off. But Jifeng has a plan. He moves Jia Ming's band out of the basement and into a luxury rehearsal space right next to the second-floor meeting hall. Jia Ming is happy, but knows Jifeng wants something in return. Jifeng makes his pitch. He wants the band to play live old Shanghai jazz for the alumni reunion. It's a perfect win-win. Before the meeting ends, Jifeng catches Miyu and tells her to stop running away from him. He wants them to be a team that actually talks things through. At the general staff meeting, Jifeng announces the record-breaking revenue from the restaurant and officially kicks off the massive alumni reunion project. Jifeng officially moves out of the administrative floor. As Miyu cleans his former suite, she can't help but feel a hollow ache in her heart. She's going to miss him. The next day, Shui Rui reports that the guest shuttles are heading to the airport, but Jifeng is clearly distracted, giving vague answers that make no sense. Shui Rui sees right through him and warns him to keep his eye on his rival, Ao Shang, but Jifeng plays dumb, trying to hide his true feelings for Miyu. The hotel is suddenly hit with a massive wave of alumni arriving all at once, turning the lobby into total chaos. The lobby manager, An, is barking orders at the receptionists, but suddenly doubled over in excruciating pain. Seeing the crisis, Miyu doesn't hesitate. She dives into the fire to help. She prints out the guest lists and starts checking everyone in manually. Manager An eventually collapses and faints right in the middle of the lobby. As the ambulance arrives, An begs Miyu to stay and manage the floor. Miyu immediately takes charge, pulling staff from the administrative floor to set up an emergency information desk to handle the crowd. It's a nightmare. One elderly man with a herniated disc can't stand for long, so Miyu fast-tracks his room. Another guest with rheumatism wants a room with better sunlight. When Miyu asks the receptionist, Heilin, for help, the girl gets a major attitude, snapping that changing rooms randomly causes a mess. Undeterred, Miyu finds a solution herself and personally escorts the guest to their new sun-drenched room. Jifeng, noticing Miyu had ordered some medicine to be delivered, brings it up to her personally to check on her health. Miyu brushes it off, explaining the medicine was actually for a guest. Once the rush is over, a manager named Young Jun arrives with lunchboxes for the team. By the time Miyu gets a second to breathe, there's only one lunch left. Heilin, who clearly hates Miyu, starts bullying her, telling her to go back to her own floor to eat. Miyu doesn't let it get to her. The lobby is still short-staffed. Young Jun tries to nominate Heilin for the vacant lobby manager position, but Shui Rui knows she doesn't have the respect of the team. That's when Jifeng pulls out a performance review that is absolutely flawless. Shuiru is stunned. This is the perfect candidate. Jifeng reveals the name. It's Miyu. Shuiru meets with Miyu to offer her the job. She's worried she only got the nod because they're friends, but Shuiru sets her straight. He's choosing her because of her legendary ability to handle a crisis. Miyu accepts the challenge. When Youngjun hears the news, he's absolutely fuming that his favorite was passed over. Miyu throws herself into her new role, staying up late to study advanced hotel management. While she's cleaning for the architect Jiaming, they share a heart-to-heart. She tells him tomorrow is her big day. Just then, Chairman Wan Jun arrives. Hearing about Jifeng's choice for the new manager, the chairman smiles. She knows Miyu must be something special to earn Jifeng's trust. On the day of her appointment, Miyu is officially the new lobby manager, while her former rival, Qingping, is promoted to housekeeping team lead. It's an emotional farewell to her old department. As she's walking to her new post, Chairman Wan Jun is waiting for her in the hallway. She gives Miyu a priceless vintage brooch, the very one her mother gave her when she first started her career. Miyu is hesitant to accept such a treasure, but the chairman insists. When the promotion is announced in the lobby, the staff stay silent. They aren't happy. Jifeng accidentally walks by, and the second Youngjun sees the big boss, he pulls a total 180-degree turn. He starts clapping like a maniac and showering Miyu with fake praise. Back in the office, Shuiru teases Jifeng for being obsessed with Miyu's career, but Jifeng just pretends he was making his rounds. Then a new challenge arrives. A famous food blogger is coming to visit. The team sees this as a huge PR opportunity, but Miyu's first day as manager is already a battlefield. A guest tries to cut the line, and when Miyu tells them to wait, a fight breaks out. When Miyu tries to help, Hyland sneers at her, telling her not to interfere if she doesn't understand reception work. To keep the peace, Miyu swallows her pride and just helps the guest with their luggage instead. Just as things settle, Zhenjian walks through the lobby. She sees everyone congratulating Miyu on her rapid rise and gets a massive hit of jealousy. She loudly accuses Miyu of using shady methods to get the job. Miyu doesn't get angry. She hits back with a clapback so sharp and sophisticated that it leaves Zhenjian speechless. Fuming and humiliated, Zhenjian calls Yu Cheng and demands he come to pick her up immediately. The tension in the lobby is palpable when Yu Cheng catches sight of Miyu. Zhenjian, sensing her husband's lingering gaze, immediately throws a jealous fit. Yu Cheng tries to distract her by announcing he's just been promoted to vice president, but Zhenjian couldn't care less about his title. Her only focus is prestige and property. She demands they buy a new house in a top-tier school district immediately to prepare for the baby's future. Meanwhile, a ghost from the past reappears. Ji-chun, Jifeng's ex-girlfriend, schedules a meeting with him. She's dripping with regret, admitting she shouldn't have broken up with him years ago. Jifeng remains ice-cold and professional. He reminds her that 10 years ago, he was just a lowly server with no future, so it made perfect sense for her to leave him back then. He's clearly moved on, but Jichuan isn't giving up that easily. As the big alumni performance approaches, Jiaming's jazz band is practicing non-stop, with Miyu cheering them on from the sidelines. But disaster strikes during a group dinner. One of the band members, Ming, starts choking on his food. In a heart-pounding moment, Jiafeng springs into action, performing an emergency maneuver to clear Ming's throat. Even though Ming is okay, Jiafeng insists on sending him to the hospital for a checkup, just to be safe. With a musician missing, Jiaming is in a total panic. The show is about to start. Jiafeng tells him not to worry, claiming he has a backup plan. As the guests, including the chairman and Jichuan, take their seats, everyone is wondering who the replacement will be. Suddenly, the lights dim, and out walks Jiafeng in full performance gear. Miyu's heart is racing for him. To everyone's absolute shock, Jiafeng starts playing the saxophone with the skill of a seasoned pro. Jia Ming follows along on the flute, and the two of them deliver a world-class jazz performance that leaves the audience breathless. Under the stage, Ji-chun is busy snapping a million photos of her talented ex. When the show ends, Miyu is taking group photos for the band when she sees Ji-chun walk up onto the stage to present Ji-feng with a large bouquet of flowers. Miyu and Jia-ming are incredibly proud of the success, even if Jia-ming feels like the beautiful moment ended too quickly. Later, Ji-feng invites Miyu to the Chinese restaurant to officially introduce her to Ji-chun. It turns out Miyu already knows who she is. Ji-chun is a massive social media influencer. Once Ji-chun leaves, Ji-feng asks Miyu for her brutally honest opinion on the hotel's pastries. Miyu doesn't sugarcoat it. The presentation is okay, but the taste is totally average. Ji-feng smiles. She's thinking exactly what he's thinking. He decides to overhaul the dessert menu to bring in world-class Western pastries. He also realizes that the crowd's reaction to the jazz performance proves there's a market for it. He decides to host a live jazz night every week. Despite the risk of the band members being up there in age, Miyu argues that the unique vibe is exactly what the hotel needs. Impressed by her vision, Yi-feng puts Miyu in charge of the entire weekly jazz project. The next morning, the mean girl of the lobby, Hai-Lin, is seething with envy. When she sees Miyu at the photocopier, she intentionally knocks Miyu's original documents onto the floor. Miyu doesn't say a word. She just calmly picks them up, smooths them out, and keeps working. Later, Hai-Lin corners the manager, Young-jun, in the parking garage to complain. She's been loyal to him for years and feels Miyu stole the job that belonged to her. Young-jun shuts her down fast. He tells her Miyu's talent is undeniable and that he can't go against Ji-feng's wishes. He leaves her with a warning. If you don't keep your head down, you won't even have the job you have now. Back at the hotel, the renovation of the Chinese restaurant is almost finished. The rival, Ao Xiang, drops by to talk trash, telling Ji-feng the board of directors thinks the jazz project is a frivolous waste of money. Ji-feng ignores him and heads back to his office, where Xu Rui tells him that Ji-chun is asking to see him again. Everyone can see she's trying to win him back. Xu Rui asks Ji-feng if there's already someone else in his heart, but Ji-feng stays silent. The episode ends on a high-tension note. Zi-chun arrives at the hotel to pick up Ji-feng for a night out, and they run right into Miyu in the lobby. Zi-chun pulls a classic mean girl move, handing Miyu a cup of milk tea and pretending to research youth trends just to probe for information. A few moments later, Ji-feng walks down, and the two of them leave together in her car, leaving Miyu standing there alone. Over dinner, Zi-chun drops her pitch. She's looking for a venue for her new book signing and wants it to be at the hotel. Ji-feng, ever the businessman, says it's a perfect opportunity. While they're eating, a group of fans recognize her and ask if she and the handsome general manager are dating. Ji-feng shuts it down immediately, but Zi-chun plays it differently. On the drive back, she tells him that dating rumors actually help her brand stay hot. When she asks about their next date, Zi-feng keeps it strictly professional, telling her to coordinate with the hotel staff. Zi-chun doesn't hide her intentions anymore. I'd rather date you than work with you. Back at the hotel, Miyu is still in the lobby, waiting until she sees Zi-feng return before she finally clocks out. That night, she's a mess of insecurity. Seeing them together like that makes her feel like she's just been imagining her connection with Zi-feng. She tosses and turns all night, convinced she's overstepping her bounds. The next morning, Ji-feng assigns the team their roles for the book signing. He specifically pulls Miyu aside, making her the lead coordinator for the event, and even hands her a copy of the book. When Miyu asks if they've known each other a long time, Ji-feng simply says they were college friends. The day of the event arrives, and Jun-chin's team is thrilled with the setup. Jun-chin playfully grabs Ji-feng's arm to thank him, but Ji-feng catches Miyu's eye and awkwardly pulls away. Seeing the lobby getting dangerously crowded with fans, Miyu steps out to manage the crowd. While Miyu is busy, Ao Xiang shows up and asks her to personally escort some of his friends to their rooms. Trapped, Miyu has to hand over the reception of the VIP guest, Mr. Huang, to the petty receptionist, Hai-Lin. Miyu only has time to give her a blurry photo of what the VIP looks like. A few minutes later, an elderly man arrives at the desk. He realized he left his ID in his taxi. He tries to explain, but Hai-Lin is a total nightmare. She forces him to go back to the end of the long line and re-queue from the start. When the frustrated old man tries to light a cigarette in the lobby, Hai-Lin barks at him so rudely that he just throws the cigarette down and walks out of the hotel. The event is about to start, but the guest of honor, Mr. Huang, is missing. Ji-feng wants to go look for him with Miyu, but Ji-chun clings to him, begging him to stay. Miyu heads to the desk, and the second she hears Hai-Lin's story, she realizes the rude old man was actually the VIP. With the clock ticking and the VIP gone, Ji-chun improvises and drags Ji-feng onto the stage as her guest speaker to keep the event on schedule. Meanwhile, Miyu is working the phones. She tracks down the taxi company, confirms they found the ID, and gets the address of where Mr. Huang went. She returns to the hotel just in time to hear a fan ask Ji-feng and Ji-chun if they're a couple. Ji-chun drops a bombshell, telling the crowd that they used to be in love and that destiny will decide if they get back together. Hearing this, Miyu feels like a total outsider. She channels her frustration into her work. She confronts Hai-Lin for her pathetic service, ordering her to write a formal self-reflection and docking 10 points from her monthly KPI. The other receptionists start whispering, resenting Miyu for acting like the boss. As the event wraps up, Ji-feng thanks Ji-chun and asks for the leftover books to give to the staff who are fans. But Miyu's day goes from bad to worse. Her older sister storms into the hotel, demanding Miyu pay for her son's expensive international school fees. She even has the nerve to demand a free 5-star buffet meal. Miyu tries to explain that she's no longer in housekeeping and can't just hand out freebies. And besides, her entire salary is going toward paying off their parents' debts. The sister causes a massive scene in the lobby, screaming at the top of her lungs that Miyu is an ungrateful brat. As Miyu stands humiliated in the lobby, Hai-Lin and the other receptionists just stand there, smirking and enjoying the free show. Just then, Ji Zhao, the architect's son, arrives at the hotel to check in. Seeing Miyu's sister reaching a breaking point, even throwing her phone in a rage, Ji Zhao steps in. He picks up the phone, drapes his jacket over Miyu's shoulders, and offers to take her out to dinner to get away from the madness. As Miyu and Ji Zhao get into his car, they pass Ji Feng, who is just walking out with Ji Chun. Seeing Miyu driving off with another man, Ji Feng freezes in his tracks, staring after them for a long time. Over dinner, Miyu finally lets it all out. She vents to Ji Zhao about her oppressive family life, how she's had to obey her sister since they were kids, and how even after her sister got married, Miyu was forced to prioritize their needs over her own. Standing up to her today felt like the first breath of fresh air in years. Ji-Jo listens and tells Miyu to think of him as a blank canvas she can paint whatever she wants on him. Miyu sadly admits she thought about starting fresh, but she realized someone else had already painted on her heart first. As Ji-Jo peels a crab for her, he gently reminds her that there are plenty of canvases in the world, and she can always choose a new one. Moved to tears, Miyu admits that no one has ever peeled a crab for her before. In that small moment, she feels truly cared for. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Shui Rui tells Ji Feng about the lobby incident and how Miyu's sister tried to extort her. Ji Feng is frustrated. He wonders why Miyu didn't come to him. Shui Rui points out that he was busy with the book signing and the security team was preoccupied. Sensing Ji Feng's anxiety, Shui Rui suggests he send her a text to check in. Ji Feng hesitates but finally sends one. However, Miyu is already wasted and never sees the message. Ji-Jo has to practically carry her back to the hotel, and he takes her straight to his room. Of course, the lobby staff sees everything, and the gossip starts immediately. When the news reaches Ji Feng, he rushes to his office to check the CCTV. His heart sinks when he sees them enter the room together and not come out. He spends the entire night awake, haunted by the images. The next morning, Miyu shows up to work right on time. When she asks Hai-Lin for her formal apology letter, the manager, Young Jun, interrupts. He tells Miyu she needs to handle a formal complaint filed against her first. Miyu marches into Ji Feng's office and finds out the housekeeping staff reported her for sleeping in a guest room. Miyu argues that it was after hours and she didn't violate any rules. Ji Feng, fueled by jealousy and lack of sleep, snaps at her. He reminds her that he had to fight against a lot of rumors just to give her this position. Miyu, already on edge, fires back. She sarcastically points out that he only partnered with Ji Chun because of his personal feelings, so he has no right to judge her. Later, Ji-Jo seeks out Ji Feng to set the record straight. He explains that after he got Miyu settled in the room, he actually went to sleep in his father's room and didn't come back until morning. Ji Feng argues that Ji-Jo shouldn't have taken her out in the first place, but Ji-Jo hits back with a reality check. He tells Ji Feng that anyone with a heart would have stepped in to help Miyu when her family was bullying her. He adds that if Ji Feng truly values a talented employee, he should care for her well-being, not just her work. Ji Feng goes back to the security room to re-examine the footage. Sure enough, Ji-Jo left the room shortly after entering. Later, while walking through the hallway with Shui Rui, Ji Feng overhears two maids gossiping and trashing Miyu's reputation. Ji Feng's face goes dark. He gives them a brutal scolding on the spot. Shui Rui has to pull him aside, reminding him not to let his personal feelings dictate how he manages the staff. Meanwhile, the petty Hai-Lin is annoyed that Miyu hasn't been punished. She goads Young Jun into complaining to Ji Feng again, but Ji Feng shuts him down, announcing that there will be no punishment for Miyu. When Young Jun looks shocked, Ji Feng turns the tables on him. He berates Young Jun for being a poor manager, accusing him of failing to investigate the facts or even talking to the people involved before trying to ruin an employee's career. The hammer finally drops on the staff members who ganged up to file that fake complaint against Miyu. Ji Feng warns them that if Miyu decides to pursue legal action, they'll all be facing charges for defamation. Realizing he's on the losing side, the manager, Young Jun, starts backpedaling at light speed, promising to keep his lobby staff in line. Miyu then corners the petty Hai-Lin once more, demanding her written apology. When Hai-Lin tries to act lazy and ignores her, Miyu doesn't hesitate. She immediately docks points from Hai-Lin's official performance evaluation. Just then, Young Jun walks in and pulls a total 180. He starts screaming at Hai-Lin for being disrespectful to her superior and demands she hand-deliver that apology to Miyu immediately. Meanwhile, the hotel's Western restaurant is struggling to finalize its dessert menu. Ji Feng suggests a fusion approach, Sino-Western tea pastries. Xiaoyan remembers that Miyu has a hidden talent. She can hand-mold tiny, adorable animal-shaped pastries. She brings some samples to Ji Feng, and his eyes light up the second he sees them. He's found his secret weapon. While Miyu is working, her mother, Xu Mei, calls again. It's the same old story. Her sister needs more money for her kids' school fees. Miyu snaps, telling her mother that after paying off all the family's debts, she literally has $0 left. Ji-feng and Xu Rei head down to the kitchen to watch Miyu make the pastries. When they ask where she learned such a rare skill, she tells them she learned it from her mother, who is a master of traditional Suzhou boat pastries. Seeing an opportunity to both upgrade the menu and help Miyu's family, Ji-feng tells Miyu to invite her mother to Shanghai for a professional consultation. Xiaoyan is worried that Miyu's mom will just cause more drama, but Miyu explains that she's already laid down 3 strict rules for her mom's visit. Ji-feng eventually finds a quiet moment to apologize to Miyu for his earlier outburst, but Miyu isn't ready to let him off the hook just yet. She's still hurt. As she's leaving work, Xiaoyan runs into the rival, Aosheng, in the parking lot. He starts talking trash about the hotel's new Western menu, but Xiaoyan hits back with total confidence. She tells him Ji-feng has a killer move up his sleeve that will blow his restaurant out of the water within a month. The next day, the mother, Xu Mei, arrives in Shanghai. The second she steps into the hotel, she heads straight for the buffet, stuffing her face with as much free food as possible. Ji Zhou happens to be eating nearby and, being a true gentleman, offers to pour her a coffee. When Miyu finally arrives, Ji Zhou greets her warmly, and Miyu introduces him to her mother. As they head upstairs, the mom won't stop prying, asking if Ji Zhou is Miyu's new boyfriend. Miyu has to shut it down fast, telling her mom he's just a guest and warning her to behave herself in a 5-star environment. In the kitchen, the Western restaurant chefs and Ji-feng watch as Xu Mei starts her demonstration. She is a true artist. Her Suzhou boat pastries are so lifelike, they look like they might jump off the plate. The chefs are blown away. However, the manual labor triggers her chronic arthritis, and she starts clutching her hands. Miyu is immediately at her side, worried. Ji-feng quietly leads the mom to a luxury guest room to rest. When Miyu turns around, she notices a medicated pain relief patch sitting on the table, already prepared. She knows instantly that Ji-feng put it there. Back in the office, Xu Rei tells Ji-feng to hurry up with the employment contract. He teases his boss, saying, "You're only doing this to get in the daughter's good graces." And for the first time, Ji-feng doesn't even try to deny it. Later, Hailin finally humbles herself and delivers the apology letter. Miyu accepts it and even gives her a box of her mom's pastries as a peace offering. Sadly, the petty Hailin just turns around and gives the box to another coworker the second Miyu is out of sight. The launch of the new boat pastries in the Western restaurant is a massive hit. The place is packed with people wanting a taste of the viral treats. Miyu brings the official contract to her mother to sign. When Xu Mei sees the salary, $20,000, she loses her mind. She's convinced Ji-feng is so obsessed with her daughter that he's basically paying her a bride price. Miyu has to explain that the high pay is based on the chef's professional evaluations of her rare talent. Miyu sits her mother down for a serious reality check. She makes it crystal clear. Ji-feng is her boss, and Ji Zhou is just a guest. She tells her mom to stop dreaming about fairy tales because they are in completely different social classes. Meanwhile, remember that bet Aosheng made with Xiaoyan? Well, he lost. The spoiled rich kid is forced to go into the kitchen and actually do some manual labor. Xiaoyan has him doing the dish pit challenge, and he is absolutely miserable. In a fit of pure bratty rage, he intentionally smashes a whole stack of plates. He doesn't even care. He knows he can just pay for them, but he hates being humbled. Back in her own head, Miyu sends a quick thank you text to Ji-feng. Ji-feng is sitting there staring at his phone, daydreaming about taking her out for a nice dinner to make up for their past fights. But he stops himself, feeling like they aren't there yet. His assistant, Xu Rei, catches him smiling like an idiot at his phone and tells him to snap out of it. He reminds the boss to focus on the hotel's revenue. Things have been good, but they need a strategy to fill the gap before the summer holiday rush. Over in toxic couple land, Yu Cheng and Zhen Zhen have finally moved into their new house. Yu Cheng's mom is bragging to her friends like she's royalty. For dinner, Zhen Zhen is too lazy to cook, so she orders takeout, sneaks into the kitchen to unbox it, and plates it to look like she made it herself. When the mother-in-law sees the empty takeout containers in the trash, her face turns sour. Zhen Zhen just makes up a lame excuse about being too busy and promises to cook for Yu Cheng eventually. After the guests leave, Zhen Zhen is taking out the trash when she finds a court summons in Yu Cheng's jacket pocket. It's for the lawsuit Miyu filed. Yu Cheng snatches it away before she can read the details. Zhen Zhen starts nagging him for not defending her more against his mother. Thinking fast, Yu Cheng mentions that his company is planning a massive team-building event. He decides to book it at the hotel specifically to help Zhen Zhen hit her sales targets and look good in front of the management. On the day of the event, Ji-feng is worried. He asks Miyu if she's okay handling the reception, since her ex-husband will be there. Miyu stays professional, assuring him she can handle it. Zhen Zhen, being as petty as ever, drags Yu Cheng upstairs and demands that Miyu personally serve them, just to rub her new life in Miyu's face. But then, chaos erupts in the kitchen. Someone reports that Miyu's mom, Shumei, is having a total meltdown. Miyu rushes down and finds her mom refusing to make even one pastry for Zhenzhen. Miyu has to give her mom a dose of reality. Zhenzhen is a top sales representative, bringing in huge business. If you can't handle the job, you have to quit. Hearing that, her mom begrudgingly gets back to work, but she's fuming. During the party, the big boss of Yu Cheng's company, Mr. Wei, is incredibly impressed with Miyu's service. He praises her talent, and even Miyu's former coworkers are whispering about how she's transformed into a high-level corporate elite with a bright future. Later, Yu Cheng corners Miyu in the kitchen, literally begging her to drop the lawsuit. Miyu isn't budging. She tells him she's taking back everything he stole from her, and they have nothing left to talk about. Zhenzhen overhears them and storms out, threatening Miyu. She tells Miyu that if she doesn't drop the case, she'll make sure Miyu is blacklisted from the entire hotel industry. Miyu ignores her like she's invisible. That's when Mama Shumei has had enough. Seeing her daughter being bullied by the woman who stole her husband, she lunges out and delivers a massive, stinging slap right across Zhenzhen's face. The whole thing turns into a screaming match that ends up in Jifeng's office. In a move that shocks everyone, Jifeng steps in and takes full responsibility for the incident. He tells Zhenzhen to go get a medical checkup for her pregnancy and promises the hotel will cover every single expense. When Zhenzhen continues to scream for justice, Jifeng drops his professional mask. He looks Yu Cheng in the eye and reminds him that they have a good partnership. He doesn't want to blow things out of proportion. It's a subtle but terrifying warning. Keep your wife in check, or I will ruin you. Once they leave, Miyu thanks Jifeng for protecting her. Jifeng tells her she didn't do anything wrong. He admits his move was a way to put them in their place and let them know that Miyu is not someone they can bully anymore. Zhenzhen gets home and is still a ball of rage. She screams at Yu Cheng for hiding the court summons from her. Yu Cheng tries to explain he was just trying to handle it quietly to save her from worrying. Suddenly, the stress hits him and he's doubled over with a massive stomachache. He begs Zhenzhen to get him a glass of water. She dismisses his pain as him just being dramatic and completely ignores him. Meanwhile, Miyu and her mother are sharing a warm meal. Mama Shumei is convinced that Jifeng is officially in love with her daughter, especially after he took the fall for that slap incident in the office. Miyu feels a flutter in her heart, but she tells her mom to stop with the matchmaking. She's finally found her voice, promising her mother that she's no longer the pushover she used to be and won't let Zhenzhen bully her ever again. The next day, Jizhou is at the lobby checking out. He catches Miyu reading and takes a moment to apologize again for the trouble he caused her. He's leaving for a new job in Hong Kong, but he leaves her with a heartfelt message. He's always ready to be her listening ear. He hints that they'll see each other again soon, leaving Miyu feeling flustered and confused about her own feelings. Business-wise, the hotel is hit with a crisis, the rainy season. A major corporate partner just canceled a huge order because of the weather. During a board meeting, Chairman Wan Jun asks for a rainy day recovery plan. Ji Feng proposes targeting North African tourists who actually want to come to Shanghai to see the rain. The former GM, Sai Yun, mocks him, calling the potential prophet peanuts. Ji Feng roasts him right back, asking if Sai Yun has a get-rich-quick scheme of his own, which shuts the man up instantly. Miyu, meanwhile, has spotted a gold mine. She realizes that the high-stakes National University entrance exams are coming up, and the testing center is right next to the hotel. She knows that parents will pay almost anything to ensure their kids have a quiet, comfortable place to sleep during the most important days of their lives. She even takes the receptionist Hai Lim, whose brother is taking the exam, to scope out the school and confirm the logistics. Back at home, things are getting dark for Yu Cheng. He tells Zhenzhen he needs to go to the hospital for a CT scan of his stomach and begs her to go with him. But Zhenzhen is completely checked out of the marriage and doesn't seem to care about his health at all. Miyu brings her exam season proposal to her manager, Youngjun. He shoots it down immediately, thinking average families won't spend money on a 5-star hotel. But when the big management meeting starts and everyone is panicking about the low revenue, Youngjun pulls a snake move. He steals Miyu's idea and presents it as his own. However, when Jifeng asks for the actual survey data and student numbers, Youngjun starts sweating. He's forced to call Miyu into the meeting to bail him out. Miyu walks in, totally prepared, with stacks of photocopied reports for everyone. She proposes a student special, 50% off for test takers. The finance manager Huang hates the idea, complaining that the profit margin is too low. But Miyu is 3 steps ahead. She explains that they can leverage their existing marketing contract with the influencer Ji Chun to promote the package. She points out a genius psychological fact. The parents of these students are the exact middle-aged, high-spending demographic that the hotel targets. Miyu isn't just pitching a room discount, she's pitching an entire student survival experience. She proposes opening up communal study areas for free, and the ultimate clutch move, moving breakfast up 1 hour earlier so students aren't rushing to their exams on an empty stomach. The finance manager, Huang, continues to complain, calling it a massive waste of resources for a few kids. But Miyu hits back with total confidence. Based on the student numbers at the testing center, we aren't just filling a few rooms, we're going to sell out 6 entire floors. When the board gives the green light, Hailin is so happy she literally hugs Miyu. Later, Miyu catches Jifeng in the hallway and asks if he's finalized the live streaming team. Jifeng confirms they are still going with the influencer, Zichun. Back in his room, Jifeng can't stop smiling. He realizes that Miyu keeps asking about him and Zichun because she's clearly jealous. To him, her being bothered by his ex is the best birthday gift he could ask for. But the villains are busy too. Zhenjian begs Huang to let her lead the live streaming project. Huang is worried about her being late-term pregnant, but Zhejian is a hustle culture queen. She promises to bring glory to the sales department. Meanwhile, the bratty Oshang has planted a mole inside the hotel. He's successfully stolen Miyu's entire exam week playbook and plans to use it for his own hotel. When someone reminds him that Ji-chun is already under contract with the hotel, Oshang just smirks. He knows everyone has a price. While Zhenjian is busy working overtime, her husband Yu Cheng finally gets his test results back. It's the worst-case scenario. He's diagnosed with a serious stomach disease. When Zhenjian finally gets home, she finds the medical papers. Her mother-in-law is in a state of total collapse. When a food delivery arrives, the older woman snaps. She throws the food right onto the floor, screaming at Zhenjian for never cooking a single real meal for her sick son. The next day, the leak becomes official. Hailin tells Miyu she overheard Oshang on the phone planning the exact same exam week service. Miyu drops her lunch and rushes to warn Jifeng. That night, Jifeng meets with Ji-chun, who admits Oshang offered her a massive commission to switch sides. Ji-chun proposes a shady compromise. She'll sell rooms for the hotel first, but Oshang's hotel will get to ride the viral traffic from the stream. With no other choice, Jifeng agrees. When Miyu finds out, she's furious. She thinks Jifeng is putting the hotel at risk just to protect his ex-girlfriend's contract. Jifeng just looks at her and says, "Trust me, just this once." Then, tragedy strikes Zhenjian's household. It's the day of Yu Qing's surgery, but it's also the day of the massive live stream. Zhenjian refuses to skip work, and the mother-in-law loses it, accusing her of being a cold-blooded monster who doesn't care if her husband lives or dies. Zhenjian breaks down in tears, screaming that the surgery has a low success rate and she has to work to pay for the medical bills. The stress is too much. Zhenjian starts bleeding. She's rushed to the hospital and gives birth successfully, but the karma hits hard. Her entire in-law family ignores her, rushing to the nursery to see the baby and leaving her lying alone in a cold hospital bed, feeling completely abandoned. With Zhenjian in the hospital, Jifeng turns to Miyu. He begs her to take Zhenjian's place on the live stream. Miyu is terrified of the camera, but Jifeng gives her a heartfelt pep talk. "You're the one who did the research. You're the one with the vision. No one can explain the heart of this project better than you." The live stream starts. The manager does the brand intro, and a viewer asks if the food prices will be hiked up for the exams. The manager says prices stay the same. Suddenly, the orders start flying in. A customer instantly books 20 rooms at Oshang's rival hotel. But then, Oshang gets a frantic call from his housekeeping department. Because he's already hosting a major financial conference, his hotel actually has less than 30 rooms left. While the managers are busy talking numbers, Miyu is in the corner, silent and focused. She's taking notes on every single question coming in from the live chat. Because Jifeng had given her a heads up that the hotel's regular conference schedule was clashing with the exam dates, Miyu walks into the live stream with total confidence. She has zero pressure and knows exactly what parents are worried about. She explains the plan flawlessly. The hotel will provide specialized meal sets for the students, including the famous signature soup. And get this, the meals are included in the room price. Entire floors will be reserved strictly for students to ensure total silence, creating the ultimate study environment, complete with late-night snacks. When a non-student viewer asks for the discount, Miyu politely turns them down, explaining that for this week, the hotel is 100% dedicated to the future graduates. The first 300 rooms sell out in the blink of an eye. Seeing the demand is still through the roof, Miyu makes a bold executive decision on the fly. She releases 100 more rooms, turning the entire hotel into a headquarters for students. Watching from his office, Jifeng is beaming with pride. The second she's done, he grabs his keys and rushes down to pick her up. Meanwhile, over at the rival hotel, Oshang is having a meltdown. He calls his father to complain about being kept in the dark about the finance conference, which made his live stream room snatching plan an epic fail. His father roasts him right back, calling him out for having no initiative and not even knowing his own hotel's schedule. It's a brutal father-son blow-up. Xiaoyan happens to be delivering food and hears the whole thing. She tries to comfort him, promising to keep his embarrassing failure a secret. Jifeng picks up Miyu, planning a romantic one-on-one dinner, but just then, Ji-chun walks out. She conveniently invites them both for tea, and Miyu, being polite, can't really say no. So the three of them end up in Ji-chun's car in the world's most awkward third-wheel situation. Jifeng secretly texts Miyu, telling her they'll go back to the hotel together afterward. When they get to the cafe, Miyu tries to order a salad for Jifeng. Ji-chun immediately jumps in, stopping her and saying, "Oh, don't you know? Jifeng is allergic to the mustard in that dressing." She's clearly marking her territory, showing off how well she knows him. The vibe is suffocating. Ji-chun then orders Jifeng to go pick up some pastries from another shop, just to get him out of the room. The moment he's gone, she starts reminiscing to Miyu about their college days, how she won a debate trophy and they celebrated at this very restaurant with Jifeng's first paycheck. She paints a picture of a perfect past, admitting she was too young to appreciate how much Jifeng sacrificed for her. Then, she drops the hammer. She tells Miyu she wants to get back together with him, and asks Miyu what she thinks. Miyu stays ice cold and unbothered. She simply says, "I don't know anything about your past, so I'm not in a position to comment." When Jifeng returns with the cakes, Miyu has already ghosted them. He rushes outside to catch her and begs her to come back to the hotel with him. But she makes an excuse about a work emergency and leaves him standing there. She heads straight back to the hotel, pouring all her energy into work, preparing student supply kits and personally testing the Wi-Fi speed in every single room. The next morning, the families start arriving. A couple starts a loud fight in the lobby. The husband is complaining about the price of the luxury suite, and the wife is screaming at him for snoring so loud he'll ruin their kids' sleep. Miyu jumps in, de-escalates the fight with her legendary calm boss energy, and gets them up to their room. The hotel is packed, and every guest is raving about the signature soup. The exam hotline is ringing off the hook, and every staff member is working at 200% capacity. Day one is a massive success. Later, Ji-chin shows up at the hotel to take some marketing photos and accidentally runs into Jifeng. While the students are away at their exams, Aoshang also drops by to find Jifeng. The usually arrogant rich kid looks defeated. He admits he's jealous of Jifeng's freedom. He tells Jifeng that since he was a kid, his father has controlled every aspect of his life, but no matter how hard he tries, he's never good enough. Jifeng gives the rival Aoshang a bit of advice. Don't give up just yet, because their revenue agreement isn't over. But as night falls on the second day of exams, a massive crisis rocks the hotel lobby. A devastated mother and her son rush to the desk, claiming they've lost a custom-made, incredibly expensive hearing aid. This isn't just about the money. The boy has his high-stakes English listening exam tomorrow. Without that hearing aid, he's basically guaranteed to fail. The mother is frantic and aggressive, but Miyu stays cool, promising she'll find it no matter what. The staff starts tearing apart the trash collection area, but no one recalls seeing the boy wearing it when he returned to the hotel. Miyu decides to talk to the boy directly, but the helicopter mom refuses to let them speak alone. Suddenly, the boy snaps. He's tired of his mom controlling every breath he takes. In a quiet corner, the boy confesses to Miyu. He had a huge fight with his mom the night before and snuck off to the hotel gym to blow off steam without telling her. Meanwhile, Jifeng is in the security room, scanning hours of CCTV footage. He finds the exact moment the device fell off near the gym, and then watches in horror as a janitor sweeps it right into a trash bag. Miyu realizes the garbage truck has just left. She sprints out the door, hops in a taxi, and chases the truck all the way to the city landfill. She convinces the driver to dump the load in a specific spot so she can search. It starts pouring rain, but Miyu doesn't stop. She's knee-deep in trash, searching for the specific colored bag from the gym. Back at the hotel, Jifeng finds out Miyu went to the landfill alone. He loses it. He hops in his car and speeds through the rain to find her. By the time he arrives, Miyu has actually found the hearing aid. She's about to head back on a bike when Jifeng appears. He's furious, screaming at her for being so reckless with her own health. Miyu snaps back, telling him she doesn't need his pity. But as she turns to walk away, the exhaustion and fever hit her all at once. She faints right there. Jifeng panics, scoops her up in his arms, and rushes her straight to the hospital. Miyu is hit with a dangerously high fever. In the ER, she's delirious. The nurse tells Jifeng to massage her hands to keep her circulation going. In her fever dream, Miyu imagines herself lost in a blinding desert sandstorm, struggling to move, until Jifeng's hand reaches out and pulls her through the dark. When she finally wakes up, the room is quiet, and only her best friend Xiaoyan is there. Xiaoyan tells her that Jifeng had an emergency at the hotel and had to leave, but he was incredibly worried. The truth? Jifeng had stayed by her bedside the entire night without sleeping a wink. Even though he's exhausted, he refuses to skip the morning project meeting, despite Shu Rei begging him to rest. Xiaoyan takes Miyu back to the dorms, forcing her to stay in bed. Miyu is still stressed about the students' exams, but Xiaoyan gives her a reality check. The hotel won't stop running just because you're in bed. Rest. While Miyu is recovering, her mom, Shu Mei, hears the news. She packs some fresh Suzhou pastries and heads to the dorm. On the way, she coincidentally runs into Jizhou. Seeing another chance at matchmaking, she convinces him to come visit Miyu with her. The polite Jizhou tells Shu Mei to go in first so they don't startle her. Once they're inside, the mom makes up a fake emergency and bails, leaving Miyu and Jizhou alone. Miyu, still weak but grateful, cooks a simple bowl of noodles for him. As Jizhou watches her in the kitchen, he feels a wave of warmth and happiness. The two spend the afternoon talking deeply about Western art. Seeing how deeply Jizhou cares about his father, Miyu takes the initiative and suggests they add each other on WeChat. She tells him that if he's ever worried, he can just message her for updates. Meanwhile, back at the hotel, Jifeng is a total nervous wreck. He's constantly calling Xiaoyan just to make sure Miyu is resting properly. When Sherry mentions a major industry exhibition happening over the weekend, Jifeng sees his chance. He considers inviting Miyu, but he hesitates to lock it in. But Jizhou is one step ahead. He notices Miyu's deep appreciation for art and invites her to a prestigious exhibition in Hong Kong that same weekend. The next day, when Jifeng finally works up the nerve to invite Miyu to the Industry Expo, Jizhou happens to be walking by. Miyu shuts Jifeng down on the spot, telling him she's already busy with other plans. The weekend arrives, and Miyu catches a flight to Hong Kong. Jizhou tries to be the ultimate provider, booking her a high-end executive suite, but Miyu is all about that independent boss girl energy. She refuses the upgrade, insists on paying for her own room, and settles into a standard guest room instead. Back in Shanghai, Jifeng is moping around the Bund, running alone and trying to get Miyu out of his head. But then Shui Ru calls and accidentally spills the tea. Miyu is in Hong Kong with Jizhou. Jifeng's heart sinks. That night in Hong Kong, Miyu and Jizhou head to a bar. Jizhou admits he was afraid she'd regret coming, but Miyu just smiles, saying that even though it was an impulsive trip, she's glad she's there. In the middle of the romantic atmosphere, Jizhou leans in to kiss her, but just as he's about to close the gap, a memory flashes through Miyu's mind, the night on the island with Jifeng. Her heart just isn't in it. She panics, pushes Jizhou away, and sprints out of the bar, leaving him stunned. When she returns to work in Shanghai, the tension is through the roof. Hai Lin hands Miyu a fancy invitation from their VIP guest, Mar. It's for an exclusive horse racing event, and it's addressed to both Miyu and Jifeng. Just as she takes the card, Jifeng walks through the lobby. He tries to act casual, but ends up being petty, asking how the weather was in Hong Kong and if it rained a lot. He's clearly digging for info, but Miyu stays cool, simply replying that the weather was perfect. Meanwhile, Xiaoyan is leaving work when she spots the rival, Aoxiang, and his manager. They look absolutely pathetic, chasing down a business partner who clearly wants nothing to do with them. Feeling a rare bit of pity, Xiaoyan offers to take Aoxiang for a ride on her motorcycle to clear his head. By the time they finish their ride, he's totally forgotten his bad mood. He excitedly tells her he wants to open a street-side barbecue stall and wants her to manage it. Xiaoyan just laughs. She's not giving up her career as a 5-star executive chef for a grill, but she can clearly see he's fallen for her. Aoxiang doesn't even try to deny it. At Mar's horse racing event, Jifeng arrives early, convinced Miyu won't show up. But then she walks in looking stunning. Mar is thrilled to see her and congratulates her on her big promotion, personally introducing the duo to his elite social circle. While they're at the table, Miyu goes to the restroom, but leaves her phone behind. A notification pops up from Jizhou. I've arrived in Shanghai. Jifeng sees the message, and his face goes dark with jealousy. Mar catches the look on Jifeng's face and realizes his friend is head over heels for Miyu. He tells Jifeng to stop being a coward, ask her to dance, and tell her how you feel. When Miyu comes back, a total creep approaches her and tries to force her to dance. She turns him down twice, but he won't take no for an answer. Suddenly, Jifeng steps in like a hero, placing a hand on Miyu and telling the guy she already has a partner. As the lights dim, Jifeng gallantly leads Miyu onto the dance floor. After the dance, things take a turn. A woman from Miyu's old socialite life, someone she used to have tea with, recognizes her. This woman represents everything Miyu left behind. She knows Miyu is divorced, but she treats her like she's invisible, only caring about the social standing of Miyu's ex, Yu Cheng. She doesn't even bother to remember Miyu's actual name. Miyu feels the sting of the insult, but she stays dignified. She looks the woman in the eye and reintroduces herself by her own name. Seeing the snobby socialite insulting Miyu, Jifeng doesn't hesitate. He steps in immediately, standing tall as he tells the woman and the whole room that Miyu is a guest of honor, personally invited by Mar. He makes it clear Miyu is a self-made woman who doesn't need to lean on any man to prove her worth. The mood is ruined, and Miyu has no interest in staying. She says her goodbyes to Mar and prepares to head back to the hotel. Ji-Fang offers to drive her, but Miyu shuts him down cold, rejecting him right there in front of everyone. Left behind, Ji-Fang goes back to the party and starts drinking hard, trying to drown his frustrations. But he can't stop thinking about that text he saw from Ji Zhao. Terrified that Miyu is running off to meet his rival, he hops in a taxi and heads straight to her dorm to wait for her. Miyu arrives at her door to find Ji-Fang standing there, completely wasted. In that moment, seeing him like this, she realizes just how deeply this man actually cares for her. Ji-Fang starts raising his voice, demanding to know why she keeps running away and why she's so afraid to face the feelings growing between them. Miyu finally hits her breaking point. She stops running. She throws herself into Ji-Fang's arms, and the two share an intense, long-overdue kiss before heading inside and spending the night together. The next morning, back at the hotel, Manager An is waiting for Miyu in the lobby. She opens up about the brutal reality of being a working mom, admitting the lobby manager position is just too much for her to handle right now. Thankfully, the board has been supportive and is moving her to a more manageable role in the administration office. She tells Miyu that watching her rise from the housekeeping crew to a manager has given her the motivation she needed to keep going. Meanwhile, Ji-Feng is riding high and texts Miyu to meet up, but the good vibes are cut short. Sui Rei finds a viral news report. A resort that the influencer Ji Chun promoted has just suffered a fatal accident. The internet is absolutely canceling her, and the hate is pouring in. Ji Chun's assistant calls Ji-Feng in a panic because she can't find the influencer anywhere. Ji-Feng rushes out and finds Ji Chun sitting on the edge of a rooftop. Sobbing, she tells him that an old colleague who made it onto the board is now trying to throw her under the bus to save the company. Ji-Feng stays calm, reminding her that she's a strong, independent woman who shouldn't let herself be a pawn in their game. Grateful, Ji-Chun climbs down and collapses into Ji-Feng's arms, crying about how much she regrets being so selfish and leaving him years ago. But here's the kicker. The moment Ji-Feng takes her back to her apartment, the paparazzi are waiting. Photos of them together are slapped all over the internet, instantly. Miyu is having lunch when she hears the staff whispering. She pulls out her phone and her heart shatters. There's the photo of the man she just spent the night with, hugging his ex-girlfriend. When Ji-Feng finally returns to the hotel, Miyu acts like he's invisible. Ji-Feng rushes over, trying to explain that he only stepped in because the assistant was desperate. Miyu is fuming inside, but she keeps her Ice Queen mask on. She hits him with a line that cuts deeper than any knife. We're both single adults. Whatever happened the other night, let's not take it seriously. It was just a thing. She walks away without letting him say another word. Deeply depressed, Miyu goes for a walk along the Bund alone. Jizho texts her, asking to meet up. When they sit down for coffee, Jizho sincerely apologizes for his behavior in Hong Kong, but he doubles down on his feelings, begging her for a real chance. Miyu officially turns him down. She tells him she's sorry for any mixed signal she gave, but her heart isn't available. Jizho takes it like a true gentleman, admitting that feelings can't be forced and promising that they can still be friends. Back at the hotel, the chefs in the Western restaurant have finally mastered the traditional Suzhou pastries. This means that even when Miyu's mom, Shomei, isn't there, the kitchen can still run perfectly. Realizing this, Shomei starts to panic. Her high-paying contract was only for 3 months. If it's not renewed, she's out of a job and out of luck. She calls Miyu's father in Shanghai to demand benefits from the hotel. Xiaoyan, Miyu's best friend, is instantly worried that these two are going to cause another massive scene. Miyu can only sigh in frustration. Her dad claims he's just there to pick up her mom and visit her, so she can't exactly kick him out. The two parents go to eat at the Western restaurant, and when they hear guests raving about the boat pastries, the dad's greed kicks in. As soon as Miyu thinks they're out sightseeing, they sneak straight into Ji-Feng's office. Shomei is actually satisfied with the current deal, but her dad is a total shark. He argues that the pastry recipe is intangible cultural heritage and that a simple salary isn't enough. He demands $200,000 as emotional compensation. Ji-Feng stays calm. He tells them the hotel can only pay $150,000 and he'll pay the remaining $50,000 out of his own pocket. But there's a catch. Every cent of that $200,000 must go directly to paying off Miyu's debts. The dad is hesitant. He wants the cash for himself. Ji-Feng gives him a reality check. Your daughter has been drowning in debt just so you two could live comfortably. It's time you think about her for once. Miyu is standing outside the door, hearing everything. She's moved to tears by Ji-Feng's kindness, but she's also disgusted by her parents' endless greed. Later at dinner, the dad is already dreaming about using the money to renovate their homestay back home. Miyu's face is cold. She tells him flatly, I still owe over $200,000. If you got that money from the hotel, it goes to the debt first. I'll handle the rest. her dad explodes, screaming that she's being unfilial and needs to pay them back for raising her. Miyu has finally had enough. She reminds him, "When I had money, I borrowed for you. But when I was divorced, homeless, and starving, where were you?" She makes it clear she's done being their ATM. Her father eventually leaves Shanghai and, surprisingly, uses the money to clear the debt. Meanwhile, the ex-girlfriend drama finally gets settled. Ji-chun invites Miyu over for a meal. She tells Miyu how Ji-feng was the first person to protect her when the internet turned against her. She admits she hoped they could get back together, but Ji-feng shut her down, telling her the past is dead and he's in love with Miyu. He told Ji-chun that Miyu is too afraid to love and too afraid to hate. Ji-chun gives Miyu some parting advice. Don't be like me. Don't wait until you lose him to realize what you have. The second Miyu leaves Ji-chun's place, she calls Ji-feng. He's already waiting for her outside her dorm. They meet at the Bund, and Miyu speaks first. She confesses that her past made her terrified to start over, but she loves him too much to keep running. They share a passionate kiss and officially decide to move in together. The next morning, Miyu suggests they keep their relationship a secret at work to stay professional. She tells Ji-feng she wants to transfer to the sales department. Ji-feng is worried. He knows sales is a shark tank full of dirty tricks, and Zhenzhen is about to return from maternity leave to make Miyu's life hell. But Miyu is determined. She wants to be a professional manager, and she wants to master every part of the business. On her first day in sales, she makes dozens of cold calls, but only finds one interested client. Her manager ignores the lead, calling it a small fry company that just wants free food. But Miyu doesn't give up. She starts researching a brand new AI industrial park. She gets so focused that she doesn't even see Ji-feng's texts. The next day, Miyu rides her bike to the client's office and finds Ji-feng's car already parked there. Miyu tells him her vision. AI is the future. They might be small now, but one day, they'll be the biggest partners this five-star hotel. Ji-feng is so supportive of Miyu's new career that he actually offers to be her assistant for the day while she scouts the AI industrial park. However, he gets pulled away by an emergency, so Miyu continues the grind alone. Despite being rejected all day, her hustle culture energy never fades. Finally, her persistence pays off, and she lands her very first contract. Her manager is thrilled. He's been trying to break into the tech sector for years with no luck. He officially promotes Miyu to account manager for the AI sector. Ji-feng takes her out to celebrate, but drops a reality check. You're rising too fast, and you're opening a new gold mine. People are gonna be jealous. Get ready for the haters. He was right. Zhenzhen returns from maternity leave and immediately starts the shade, mocking Miyu's first deal as the smallest contract in hotel history. When Miyu tries to request a budget for client gifts, the warehouse manager, who is in Zhenzhen's pocket, refuses, claiming the order is too small. Undeterred, Miyu pays out of her own pocket for a stunning flower arrangement to celebrate a partner company's anniversary. Her sincerity wins over the CEO of a massive firm called Lubos. Seeing Miyu land a big fish, the office rivals start panicking. Zhenzhen tries to sabotage her by sending her on a fake long-distance errand, right when a contract with the Lodos Group needs to be signed. Zhenzhen thinks she can swoop in and steal the credit, but she underestimated Miyu. Miyu pulls an all-nighter, completes the errand, and still manages to host a late-night dinner with the Lodos partners, signing the massive deal before the sun even comes up. A few days later, the CEO visits the hotel and praises Miyu's vision in front of everyone. But the old guard strikes back. Suddenly, Miyu's scheduled events are suspended, her budget is slashed for no reason, and her potential leads are being snatched by other departments. While walking with Ji-feng that night, Miyu admits she wants to help him carry the weight of the hotel's pressure. Ji-feng just pulls her close, telling her that handling the snake pit at work is enough of a burden for her. He'll handle the corporate warfare. Then, Ji-zhou returns to Shanghai. Miyu reads that his art exhibition in Hong Kong is failing because the venue doesn't fit his concept of time. Miyu has a eureka moment. She pulls out the hotel's floor plans and proposes a radical idea. Renovate and combine two underused, awkwardly shaped banquet halls into a permanent, world-class art gallery. Ji-zhou is so ecstatic that he catches her in a massive hug. When Miyu brings the proposal to Ji-feng, he hates it. He thinks destroying meeting rooms is too risky and financially irresponsible. But Miyu won't back down. She argues that as a historic hotel, they need a soul, a permanent artistic space. Ji-feng still says no, fearing the fallout. Miyu hits back with a boss move of her own. She promises to provide the hard data to prove this gallery will be a massive revenue generator. That night, Miyu is so buried in work that she completely forgets a movie date with Ji-feng. He has to text her just to remind her he exists. He's clearly sulking and jealous of her spending time with Ji-zhou. Seeing his boss acting like a heartbroken teenager, Shui-wei secretly uses Ji-feng's phone to invite Miyu out to clear the air. But Miyu turns him down. She's already having dinner at Xiao Yan's place. Shui Wei ends up taking a moping Jifeng out for a massive feast instead. He gives his boss a reality check. Stop being jealous of a rival and start looking at the business. This gallery is a genius move, and it's the perfect way to shut down Huang's internal meddling. At the same time, Xiaoyan is giving Miyu a pep talk, telling her that her artistic taste is just as good as Jifeng's, and she should trust her gut. In the end, Miyu's finalized business plan is so flawless and data-driven that Jifeng has no choice but to admit defeat. He officially approves the project and promotes Miyu to sales manager to oversee the entire exhibition wing. The rival, Xian, is in a total panic. The hotel's profit is closing in on the 20% mark, which means Jifeng is about to win their high-stakes bet. Desperate, Xian orders his henchman, Tian, to sabotage the wheels and strip Miyu of all her authority before she can close any more deals. With the art exhibition opening just hours away, Tian makes his move. He sidelines Miyu and puts the incompetent Zenzhen in charge of the event. But the real sabotage happens under the cover of darkness. At 3 a.m., a shadow sneaks into the gallery, cuts the power to the CCTV cameras, and steals the crown jewel of the exhibition, the most valuable painting in the collection. The next morning, Miyu discovers the theft and spirals into a panic. She searches every inch of the hotel, but the masterpiece is gone. The architect, Ji Zhou, is absolutely devastated. If the painting isn't found, his career is over, and he'll be forced to pay millions in compensation. But this was all part of Tian's twisted plan. He hid the painting himself, intending to let the media humiliate Jifeng for the security failure before miraculously finding it later to look like a hero. The exhibition opens in a suffocating atmosphere of dread. When it's time to reveal the main painting, the room is full of planted reporters who immediately start attacking. They scream about the hotel's incompetence and its failure to protect guest property. Ji Zhou is frozen in shock. Tian, smug and triumphant, turns to Jifeng and dares him to handle the disaster. But Jifeng doesn't flinch. He is perfectly, terrifyingly calm. He looks at the crowd and simply orders the staff to bring out the painting. As the curtain drops, the room goes silent. It's the original painting, untouched and safe. It turns out Jifeng was 10 steps ahead. His assistant, Shui Rui, had been tracking a suspicious technician and had found the hidden painting hours ago. Jifeng decided to play along, letting the villains think they were winning just to lure the mastermind into the light. The technician is caught red-handed and immediately flips, providing an audio recording that proves Tian was the one who ordered the hit. Tian's world collapses. He runs to Xian for help, but in the corporate world, there is no loyalty. Xian throws the finance manager, Huang, under the bus to save himself. In the end, both Huang and Tian are fired for gross negligence and corruption. You'd think Miyu would be happy, but she's fuming. She storms out of the gallery, feeling like a pawn in Jifeng's game. She's disgusted that he used her and Ji Zhou as bait without telling them, letting them suffer through hours of agony just to win a corporate chess match. Jifeng chases her down, but she won't listen. She realizes that to him, the win is more important than the people he claims to care about. At the after-party, Ji Zhou thanks Miyu and gives her a long, heartfelt hug. Jifeng watches from the sidelines, his heart heavy with bitterness. Later, Ji Zhou and his own ex-wife share a moment of closure, finally wishing each other a better future. While dancing with Miyu, Ji Zhou finally accepts the truth. Her heart belongs to Jifeng. He gracefully bows out, leaving the field open. Back at the hotel, Jifeng is drinking himself into a stupor. He finds himself reminiscing about the very first time he met Miyu, a night when they were both just as drunk and lost as he is now. Meanwhile, Si Yun goes to Chairman Wang Jun, crying like a victim about how Jifeng is destroying his team. But the chairman is a woman of iron. She shuts him down, telling him that if the hotel is going to survive, the rot has to be cut out. She orders Si Yun to go home and self-reflect. Determined to prove her worth outside of Jifeng's protection, Miyu volunteers for a high-stakes mission. She wants to fly to New Zealand to convince the powerful Van Thien Group to hold their major bidding event at the hotel. If she lands this, she'll close the final 4% of the revenue gap. Jifeng is hesitant, but Shui Rui convinces him that Miyu is the only one who can pull this off. Before her flight leaves in the middle of the night, Jifeng goes to Miyu's apartment to end their Cold War. But Miyu isn't ready. She tells him she needs space to clear her head, feeling that he still hasn't been 100% honest with her. She leaves for the airport, leaving their relationship hanging by a thread. Finally, we see the ultimate karma. Yu Cheng, the ex-husband, is still lying in his hospital bed. Zhen Zhen arrives to visit, but she's not there with flowers. She hands him divorce papers. She looks him in the eye and tells him the brutal truth. He's sick, he's useless, and he can no longer provide the luxury life she wants. Yu Cheng finally realizes that this woman never loved him for a single second. He takes the pen and signs the papers, finally losing everything he traded his soul for. When Yu Cheng's mother tries to hold the baby at the house, Zhen Zhen turns into a monster. She throws the divorce papers in the old woman's face, declaring she has full custody. When the mother-in-law protests, Zhenjian holds the baby up and tells her to look closely. Does he look like anyone in your family? The mother realizes with a heart-stopping shock that the baby isn't Yu Cheng's at all. She collapses on the floor, her world shattered. The next day, Zhenjian takes the baby, who is barely 100 days old. It turns out the baby looks exactly like him. Zhenjian uses the child as a weapon, blackmailing Si Yuan into making her the sales director. She threatens to tell the chairman about his secret love child and reminds him that he has no loyal allies left. If you let Jifeng promote Miyu, your life is over, she warns. Miyu, meanwhile, returns a hero. Her hard work in New Zealand paid off, and the hotel officially beat out all rivals to host the massive Vantian Group bidding event. Jifeng calls an all-hands meeting, but the political games continue. Si Yuan pushes hard for Zhenjian to be appointed as deputy sales director. Even though Jifeng smells a rat, he agrees to the appointment to keep the peace, but he places a strict ban on Zhenjian. She is forbidden from touching anything related to the Vantian bid. Feeling cornered, Si Yuan and Zhenjian begin a dark plot to sabotage Jifeng and Miyu during the upcoming event. As Miyu is leaving work, Yu Cheng's mother is waiting for her, begging in tears for help. It turns out Yu Cheng has suddenly given up on his cancer treatment. Even though Miyu says it's not her problem, her heart softens and she goes to the hospital. While she's by the elevator, Yu Cheng catches a glimpse of her. Seeing her success and her strength, he suddenly finds the will to live and decides to resume his treatment. On her way home, Miyu's lawyer calls to say she won the asset lawsuit. But in a final act of grace, Miyu decides to leave all the money to Yu Cheng for his medical bills. Later, Miyu visits Jizhou's new studio in Shanghai. She notices a painting covered with a cloth, the paint still wet. Curious, she asks to see it. Jizhou hesitates, but eventually pulls the cloth back. It's a stunning, soulful portrait of Miyu herself. Flustered, Miyu doesn't know what to say. Jizhou tells her not to feel pressured. It's just a thank you gift. He tries to tell her the real reason he moved to Shanghai, but sensing her tension, he plays it off as a joke. The day of the big bid arrives. Mar and the VIPs check in, and Miyu is there to handle every detail with perfection. She even takes a moment to help a struggling new maid, giving her a piece of candy and some encouragement. But a shadow is looming. Mar runs into a former employee he fired years ago, a bitter man named Mr. New. This man is out for revenge. He meets with Si Yuan and hands him a high-tech listening device. He wants Si Yuan to plant it in Mar's room so he can cheat and win the multi-million-dollar bid. Si Yuan is a shark. He demands a $20 million cut and a 10% cash deposit up front. Zhenjian, hearing that the board is planning to promote Miyu to vice president soon, is fueled by pure rage. She demands Si Yuan promote her to director immediately. Si Yuan gives her a mission. He offers her $5 million to plant the bug in Mar's room. After weighing the risks, Zhenjian agrees to the crime. On the day of the bidding, the security team discovers the bug in Mar's room. Jifeng immediately shuts down the event and orders a sweep of every phone capable of receiving the signal. As the security team passes the detector around, Miyu walks toward the center of the room. Suddenly, the machine starts screaming with a frantic alarm. The trap has been sprung. Si Yen and Zhenjian have successfully framed Miyu as the spy. As the guards move in to take her to an interrogation room, Miyu realizes that the people she tried to help have just stabbed her in the back. Inside the hotel, the air is thick with tension. Jifeng is fighting tooth and nail to protect Miyu, but Si Yen shuts him down immediately, arguing that their romantic relationship makes Jifeng's defense biased and invalid. Just as things are about to explode, Chairman Wan Jun arrives. She takes command, announcing she'll lead the investigation herself and ordering Jifeng to step aside. Jifeng, desperate to clear Miyu's name, pulls a risky move. He sneaks into the security room to check the cameras. His heart stops. The footage clearly shows that Miyu was the only one who entered Mar's room during the time frame. Thinking only of her safety, he makes a split-second decision to delete the evidence. But it's a trap. Si Yen busts in with the investigation team at that exact moment, catching Jifeng red-handed. The board of directors meets immediately and fires Jifeng on the spot for destroying evidence. Miyu, meanwhile, tells the truth to the investigators. She did go into the room to deliver flowers, but she absolutely did not plant a bug. When she's finally released, she finds Jizhou waiting for her in his car. He begs her to run away with him to Hong Kong, promising to protect her and take care of her every need. But Miyu isn't the same woman she was years ago. She looks at him and realizes she's done living in the shadow of men. She tells him she won't be a dependent anymore. She's standing on her own 2 feet. Jizhou realizes he's lost his chance, chalking it up to bad timing. But before he leaves, he drops a bombshell. Jifeng was fired because he tried to save her by wiping the security tapes. Miyu sprints to Jifeng's apartment. The second they see each other, they share a desperate emotional hug. She scolds him for being so reckless and emotional, but he just looks at her and says he didn't even think. He just had to protect her. Now, the two of them team up to find the real culprit. Jifeng suspects Mr. Nu and Mar have some old history, while Miyu remembers a key detail. When she was helping a new maid with some towels, she left a flower pot unattended for just a moment. They track down the maid through Qingping and learn the girl was hired on a recommendation from someone in their hometown. Just as they're looking for a lead, Yu Cheng, the ex-husband, shows up. He's there to thank Miyu for visiting him in the hospital, but he brings a game-changing secret. He overheard Zhenzhen on the phone with Miyu's own sister, Ma Yao, talking about a plan to set someone up. Miyu confronts her sister immediately. It's a messy, heartbreaking scene. Ma Yao confesses that her husband gambled away all their money and disappeared, leaving her desperate. She took a bribe from Zhenzhen to help sabotage her own sister. At the same time, Jifeng follows Zhenzhen and catches her trying to blackmail Si Yan's wife with her pregnancy. It doesn't go well. The wife tears Zhenzhen apart verbally. Putting the pieces together, Jifeng and Miyu realize the maid and Zhenzhen are from the same town. They force a confession out of the maid, who breaks down in tears and admits that Zhenzhen was the mastermind behind the bug. Miyu then corners her sister and Zhenzhen at a cafe for a final confrontation. Zhenzhen is still acting like she's untouchable, denying everything, until Jifeng walks in. He drops the maid's confession on the table, along with a manual for the listening device, which is covered in Zhenzhen's fingerprints. With no way out, Zhenzhen finally snaps and confesses to the whole conspiracy with Si Yan and Mr. K. Nu to take down Jifeng. When asked about Yu Cheng, she coldly scoffs that they've been divorced for a long time and he means nothing to her. Meanwhile, Shay Ray finds a hidden memory card in Xiaowan's office containing a recording of his secret meetings with Jie Zhen. While it isn't enough for a criminal conviction yet, it's enough to destroy his reputation forever. But Miyu has the final kill shot. She calls Xiaowan's wife and sends over the photo of Jie Zhen's baby. The affair is out. The child's paternity is exposed. When Xiaowan's wife realizes that her husband never actually cared about her, she makes a choice. She teams up with Miyu to give him a lesson he'll never forget. Meanwhile, Shay Ray pulls a clever distraction, luring Xiaowan's assistant away so Jifeng can sneak into the general manager's office for one last confrontation. Jifeng plays the recording and gives Xiaowan a final chance to surrender. Xiaowan, arrogant to the end, scoffs and says a few words on a tape don't prove a thing. But then, the door flies open. An investigation team bursts in to take him away. Xiaowan fights back, but then he sees the one person he truly fears, the chairman. Realizing his aunt has brought the police, he falls to his knees, begging for mercy. But the chairman is done with his corruption. She decides to let the law handle him once and for all. After the dust settles, Jifeng is officially reinstated as the general manager. Remembering the promise he made to the chairman 10 years ago, he vows to take the Svento to a whole new level. At the rebidding event, a rival company wins the project, but Mar sends his sincere thanks to Jifeng. Jifeng isn't bitter. He'll always be grateful to Mar for trusting him when he first took over. Then there's Zhenzhen. She's fired, and as she's packing her things, she runs into Miyu at the elevator. Zhenzhen sneers, assuming Miyu is gloating about her victory. But Miyu surprises her. She tells Zhenzhen that she never wanted to fight her. She admits they both wanted the same thing, to escape the shadows of their unhappy families. The only difference? Zhenzhen chose to take every dirty shortcut possible, not realizing that every shortcut in life comes with a hidden price. We see a flashback to Zhenzhen's past. Back in high school, she tried to move in with her mother after her father went bankrupt. But her mother had remarried and was hiding the fact that she even had a daughter. On a rainy night, her mother turned her away at the door, telling her that if her new husband found out, they'd both lose their lifestyle. Her mother taught her to be ruthless to survive. That was the night Zhenzhen promised herself she'd own her own home no matter what. But the shortcut failed. The district attorney arrives to arrest Zhenzhen for wiretapping. As she's led away, she finally realizes that her mother's toxic advice was what destroyed her life. As for the others, Mi Yao goes back to her hometown and becomes a successful tour guide, bringing business to the family homestay. Their mom, Xu Mei, is now a professional chef, and for the first time, her voice actually carries weight in the family. Shui Ri decided it was time for a change and quit his job to try a new career path. Jifeng is sad to see his best friend go, but wishes him nothing but the best. Finally, Miyu brings Jifeng some incredible news. She's been accepted into a prestigious hotel management school in Switzerland. Jifeng thinks she's worried about their office romance being a problem, but Miyu sets him straight. She tells him that for a long time, she felt inferior to him, like he was a god on a pedestal and she was just a maid. But now she realizes she just wasn't strong enough yet. She wants to go to school to become a professional manager, just like him. Jifeng is moved. He confesses that meeting Miyu was the reason he decided to finally settle down and stay at one hotel. Their love has given them both the strength to grow. The story ends with Miyu ready to spread her wings and fly toward a bright future, finally standing as an equal beside the man she loves. And that is the end of the story. Thanks for watching.